Welcome everyone to another episode of Cinematic Realms. I'm your host Gwen. With me as always is Jared, and we're joined once again by AJ. So glad to have you, AJ. How are you doing?
Oh, it is lovely to be back. Thank you for having me on. And I'm
Yeah.
doing all right. Doing all right. Went down a road of nostalgia watching this movie.
Yeah, I had an absolutely great time, and I was just thinking about what it was like to be an 11-year-old kid uh, in 1995, seeing this, and yeah, a lot of fun. How are you doing, Jared?
I'm doing all right. Busy as ever with work.
A lot.
But I always appreciate the distraction. Also, I know doesn't mean much to you, Gwen, but football season has started in earnest, and it's basically consumed my entire weekend. So that is a balance I will have to strike going forward, so that I can actually be something resembling productive and not just allow it to all get sucked into the vortex of Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah, it always cracks me up the fact that we are obviously so alike in so many ways and have so many interests in common, but you are definitely into your sports, and that could not be more polar opposite me. I'm like, okay, yeah, but I support your love of sports, absolutely. Just as sure as I'm sure there is something that I'm super into that you have just sort of been off in the corner, been like, I'm going to indulge Gwen in that interest and let them be. So yeah, it's I'm sure there's enough of that to go around on both sides. Yeah, I am really interested to actually hear, Jared, your perspective on this, just because I know that you came mostly to Batman through, from what you said before, Batman the Animated Series and then the Christopher Nolan films. And so I feel like there's probably a slight generational divide here, but yeah, I'm just gonna say first and foremost that I love this movie. I know all the reasons why why it's divisive, but I'm going to stand here, waving my fan flag for this, and making sure that everybody remembers that in 1995, when this movie came out, it was insanely popular. People tend to forget that, but I'm here to remind you all today. But yeah, so Jared, I am going to start with you. Like, did you see this movie initially when it was out, or like, how did you come to it, and how did it square with like what you understood Batman to be?
Well, 1995, so I would have been 6 years old at the time. So I did not see it in theaters. But I was Batman obsessed already, primarily from the animated series. And so what I did have a relationship with until I did see the movie a couple years later were the toys. Because all the Batman toys around this time were inspired by Batman Forever, and then later, a couple years later, Batman and Robin. So I knew what the characters were and what the characters looked like. I just didn't have the actual like movie as the context. I didn't get that until a couple years later, when I think I finally saw. We probably rented the movie from Blockbuster or something along those lines, and being at that time probably an 8 or 9-year-old kid, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was Batman. I will acknowledge that I did not have the same enduring affection for it, over the next couple of years, just because there were a lot of fandoms that I was interested in at the time. Once, the 1999, 2000, 2001 hit, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings kind of took over. But I never lost my love for Batman. It was just that, it was grounded still mostly in the animated series until the Dark Knight a trilogy was kicked off with Batman Begins in 2005, and then my rabid devotion really kind of centered around those movies. But again, going back and watching all of the four, from 1989's Batman through Batman and Robin, I still had seen all the movies. I still really enjoyed all the movies. And it's just that I recognized that I had perhaps, as you said, kind of missed the boat in terms of this being the center point of the Batman, universe for me. And once I'd seen some of Christopher Nolan's takes on certain characters, I will acknowledge that they did kind of become predominant in my mind. In particular, watching this movie again today, I was reminded just how much Aaron Eckhart's version of Two-Face had kind of supplanted Tommy Lee Jones' version of Two-Face in my mind, because I remembered subconsciously, because I had seen the movie recently, but that of Two-Face being a very solemn, grounded, tragic character, as he's been in all the comics. And then I watched this movie and Tommy Lee Jones is playing him as actually, literally, unequivocally batshit insane. So, which is a lot of fun. But and obviously I remembered, Jim Carrey's performance as the Riddler being insane, because that was the Jim Carrey performance at the time. But I think what I had kind of not grasped on, as much was just the idea that this is still a really, really fun Batman movie that I think, as we have touched on briefly when we were discussing doing this stream, I think retroactively has kind of unfairly become wrapped up with Batman and Robin at Joel Schumacher's second effort as the movies that kind of killed the Batman franchise for a while. And as you have pointed out, I think that's really unfair, because one, this movie was a massive financial success, more so than Batman Forever, which I think has retroactively gotten more appreciation. But that movie was real dark, and the people did not make as much money.
Batman Returns.
Yeah. And I love Batman Returns, but I think that this movie, definitely was more an attempt to get back into the more fun and campy side of Batman, which, I think now modern audiences may not connect with that as much, but it's always been a part of the character. And I think that, my love of Batman is able to encompass it all. I will acknowledge again that if you're thinking about when I want to think about what I really love most about the character of Batman, I will go to the animated series. I will go to the Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. I will go to the 2022 Matt Reeves, The Batman. I will go to certain comics before I will go to this movie. But then anytime I sit down to watch it, I'm still this is still Batman, and it's still great.
Yeah, well, what's funny is, you talk about the campy side of Batman, and I'm we are now about as far removed from this film as this film was removed from the 60s Adam West TV series. And it's funny to think, because this was as much as it's still a bit grounded in what Tim Burton was kind of doing, of creating the sort of gothic Batman, but it is also splicing in the campy fun of the 60s TV show as well, with some 90s Jim Carrey, zaniness thrown in for good measure. And it's I don't know that there could have been that combination to create a movie like this at any other time, except for exactly when this movie
90s was a special era.
Yeah. And you couldn't even consider a Batman movie like this in the modern era. you know, especially now with cinematic universes and you know the comic book studios owning like their own properties and stuff. It's
Disagree.
just okay. Well, I'll be interested to hear about that. But I'm actually going to switch over to you now, AK. What has been your relationship to Batman, like going back to like your early years, and
Oh,
uh,
child, all the way to childhood.
yeah,
There was I was able to catch the reruns of the old Adam West TV show with the awesome Eartha Kitt that
yeah,
played Catwoman. My favorite Catwoman, actually. And then moving into the '90s cartoon series that was like in steady rotation after school. There was Muppet Babies, something else at 3:30, and then Batman was at 4. So yeah, that was every day. There was not a day that I missed unless I was sick and literally could not leave my room at the time. Besides that, yeah, when this movie came out in the summer of '95, I was going into my sophomore year of high school. So I did not see it in the theaters, but I do remember very quickly grabbing it from the library once they hit video, and because I was very, very firmly supplanted into my nerd age by then, and me and my cousins are very big comic book and cartoon heads. So yeah, this was everything, and we were also big fans of In Living Color. So having Jim Carrey play the Riddler, this was literally like Fire Marshal Bill, like not being a fire marshal, but he's still here doing his thing, and I stand that. Tom Lee Jones, if I remember correctly, this is not one of the roles that he really likes a whole lot in his career, but he's still, because he's a great actor like that, he pulled it off. It's not what you would expect from a character like Two-Face, but for the vibe of this movie, it fit so well, and he did that. I feel like everything he did in there was absolutely in some Elseworld universe that absolutely could have been Two-Face. And I liked it.
yeah,
Him and Jim Carrey amazingly played well off each other, even though I know he couldn't stand Jim Carrey a lot during the filming. If I remember some of the stories from on set, but it's again that's just testament to their skill as actors. You know, regardless of the nonsense, they absolutely were in there and they hit it tit for tat. And I love seeing them together. It was great.
yeah. I just love
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that.
I just adore the the back and like every time Riddler is like digging into Two-Face,
Right,
he's
right.
like
When he gets stupid,
yeah,
and the dark side has to jump in, and he knows to step out. Okay, hold on. My bad. You know, I took it too far there, homie. You're right. Let's go ahead and finish the other thing first, and then we'll, yeah. Yeah, you
has
can't
anybody ever
just play
told
around with Two-Face like that, nah. Because which again, I really love that, because as campy as it's played, that darkness is still there. It's like just like it's just waiting under the surface for just like the final drop in the glass before it overflows. So
yeah,
I really like how they played that, and this was just a fun movie for me. It was great. I was getting to see my comic book people in real life on the screen. I had no complaints then. I really don't have too many complaints now. I may remember a couple as we go on through the discussion, but this was a solid movie for me.
yeah. um and yeah, I think this is right. I mean, as a kid I still had fun going to see Batman Robin, but even then I think I knew that it didn't quite strike the same balance that this one did. I think it does go too
Agreed.
far with the tone, and but this one rides that line between like goofy zany fun but also
And did it
having
well.
some emotional pathos as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Val
uh,
Kilmer, surprisingly, I think, well, I won't say surprisingly, he is a great actor, but I think back then, my main source for him when I would hear that name, I would think Madman Mardigan, from Willow. So I'm looking at this crazy ass rogue soldier coming here putting on this cape that I love, and I'm looking at him like, okay, bro, you better not mess this up. And he was a solid Batman.
Yeah,
I will not. I still will rank Michael Keaton above him, but I think in the whole pantheon of the ones that I've really liked, I think he's actually my number 2.
I remember getting ready to go see this movie, and I actually do remember going to see it in the theater because I went with my mom, dropped my friend Tim and me off to see it, but I think I went into the theater, the actual the theater first. He went to the bathroom, and then when he came out, he went into the wrong one that was already like a half an hour into the movie.
Oh no.
And so he came out early. No, he didn't even notice. He thought that was the beginning of the movie. And
did y'all not have seats together?
Well, I thought he came in at some point. I was looking for him, but I couldn't see him. So it wasn't until after the movie was over that I came out, and he's like, what happened then?
How old were you two?
Let's see. I was 11 years old.
Oh my God. Oh man. That is amazing.
Yeah. So he was he was pretty annoyed by that.
I bet.
Yeah.
Saved up my funding to come up here and have a nice good day at the movies with you, and you just ditched me, bro. What? And there's no cell phones at that age, so yeah, what could you do?
Hey, in fairness, he ditched me. He's the one who went into the wrong theater.
He did go to the wrong. You're right. I'm really trying to figure out how in your. I mean, 11 years old. I get it. That's old enough to be able to to tell where you are. Otherwise, your moms wouldn't let you go out the house by yourselves. How did you sit down and think that you had missed something? You came with your friend. Your friend's not next to you.
Yeah, but there were a lot of people on
back then.
What?
That was when you had to scramble. That was back when you had to scramble for your seats, huh?
Yeah. There were a lot of people in the theater, and the lights were already down, and there were people coming in. So I just assumed that he couldn't find me, and it's weird. It's I don't know if it's a thing about being little, but you can't see shit in the darkened theater. You can't tell one person from another.
You just can't see shit. You just can't see anything.
And so I just assumed that he came in, that he was one of the people coming in, and he just didn't he just couldn't find me. And so yeah. So that's something I will never forget. And as far as the which movies I had seen in the theater, I know for certain that I did see Batman Returns in theaters, because I remember that, because that was another memorable time, because the first theater that my mom took me and a different friend, we actually lived in, I think we still lived in Maryland at the time. And so I went with another one of my friends with my mom, because I was younger at that point, and the first theater we went to was sold out, so we had to drive to another theater to see it. And I think I feel like I was taken to see the first Batman in theaters, but I could be misremembering that, because I would have been pretty young. So maybe I saw it on VHS and I'm just misremembering, but no, these movies all have a real, I have significant memories of going to see them in the movie theaters. But anyway, I don't know where I was going with all that, but just
that's an awesome trip down memory lane.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's but there was just something very specific, I think, about being the right age when this was out and being in the middle of like my Batman love from the Tim Burton films, the animated series, and also like having extremely fond memories of the Adam West series. So going into this, like,
Yeah.
and the buzz around this movie was just like, it was everywhere. You know, they had like, you know, those plastic, you know, cups with the characters at McDonald's, and you know, and the toys were everywhere, and so like I think I was programmed to love this movie even before I went to go see it, but I just had an absolute blast when I did go see it, and like Jim Carrey was a god to me at this point, and I was just like every time he was on screen, I was just like my eyes were glued. You know, everything from, you know, caffeine will kill you. Has anyone ever told you have a serious impulse control problem?
Shout out to Keenen Ivory Wayans, man, because if it wasn't for that guy, we probably wouldn't know who Jim is, and he has said that many times. So I'm very happy that he got that. They gave him a shot because y'all gave us so many great movies came from people that were on The Living Color.
Yes, and
so many good ones.
And if I haven't mentioned already, I was addicted to that show. I loved it. I know I've seen every episode of that show like 50 million times
at least.
Yeah, and still, when it's on TV, I will remember each and every sketch,
if I can catch it,
but I will watch it again and again.
Have you gone through the roles of all of the music videos that they did?
No, but like I said, if I see anything, you know, it'll all come back. You know, it's never left me. You know, we could do this stream could very easily morph into an In Living Color discussion, because I'll not only Fire Marshal Bill, I'll talk about Homie D Clown,
Men on Film,
you know,
Homie the Clown, bro. That living in like the mansion of cardboard boxes, bro. It literally had his own cardboard TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside.
Yeah,
and we're gonna shelf that right there.
Yeah,
because like you said, we could go way off on that tangent, but we're not going to do that today.
Yeah. So, yeah, Jared, what was your experience with In Living Color? No.
In 1994. By this time I started watching TV, so I only ever saw reruns. So I do not have the same enduring relationship with it that you guys do. I do recognize its tremendous influence and a lot of the famous cast members who went on to do great things, but it was more like, you know, by the time that I was starting to watch TV, it was like the mid to late 90s, and it was more the, you know, the Seinfeld, Friends, you know, era. I remember being obsessed with shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway and things like that. But I think I missed the In Living Color boat, even though I recognize, like when I saw see episodes of it, I'm like, oh yeah, I can see why this was such an influential show. But yeah, if you're going to turn this into a stream on In Living Color, you know, I'll just I'll go watch football for half an hour and then I'll come back.
No, yeah, I will say, like, that show is incredibly a show of its time. It's, you know, definitely. There's some stuff you like too, but
great number of things that would not fly. There's a few things that would still work, but a lot of it, nah.
Yeah, no. But the nostalgia keeps my love for it burning, and the brilliance of the performers. Even if some of the material wouldn't fly, like the performers were just out of this world. Oh God, I just remember Jim Carrey doing Vanilla Ice.
Oh man!
Oh God! All right, sorry. We will move on because Jared's feeling.
Hey, I tried, y'all. Y'all heard. I tried. He kept bringing it back. It's not my fault this time.
I will go ahead and mention this. I freaking love the score to this film so much, and that's coming from someone who's saying that, like, Danny Elfman's music from the Tim Burton films is absolutely iconic.
Oh yeah.
But the score for this film by Elliot Goldenthal so fits the movie. It is really crazy. There's like, in addition to like the traditional like dark superhero stuff, there's a lot of like jazzy like craziness going on, and really brings it to that sort of, you know, again, the campy 60s TV show like vibes. And along with the cinematography that again makes some of the, like when Batman is fighting off like, you know, Two-Face's henchmen, you could just imagine the pow bang things coming up on screen.
And I mean, and they did pay homage to that here, and I do appreciate. And there's multiple times where they paid homage to the older and wider universe of DC. You know, your circus would be like halfway to Metropolis by now. You're not gonna catch them. Like, holy metal roof, Batman, huh? It's all metal. Look, and it's got like a bunch of holes in it. See? So, oh yeah.
And do you know that what's so funny about that is that I don't think like I would have even like they haven't followed that up talking about, you know, there's holes. But I don't think I even would have batted an eye at that anyway, because at that age, Robin, to me, that's the kind of stuff he says. So
I remember it just as vividly now as I did then. Just because, like I said, I was firmly in my nerd bag by the time I was sophomore in high school. So yeah, all of the references, I caught them and I gobbled them up. I loved all
of them. Speaking of like when we get to that point later in the film when they're like fully both in costume, I pulled this promo image because I remember specifically seeing this in the newspaper and being like, this is like, even as a kid being like, this is different. from like even the Tim Burton, but I loved it because
it was different, but it fit because we were that's the 90s. It was that stage of where we're still looking at some of the old stuff, but how can we improve and update that a little bit? And for real again, that this is the era like we're getting ready to like skate right in to the 2000s in a few years once this came out. So, you know, having like shiny metal and the suits actually looking a little bit more like they did in the comics and being more functional. So because you can't have Batman and Robin really just out here in some tights and spandex. That's not gonna work. They're not metahumans. They need some type of armor protection. So I thought it was pretty clever that they did that. They could have toned down the shininess a bit, but again, it was the 90s. It worked. It worked.
That's another thing that I want to bring up about this movie is how bright and colorful it is. And
which is so not Batman's aesthetic.
Yeah, but it like again, if you're bringing in the influence of like the 60s show, you know, with that sort of darker, you know, mid 90s thing, it's like, you know, and this is not like saying anything negative about like what came after, but for so long, what comic book movies became was like you wanted to go as like dark and black and white almost as you possibly could, so it like we'll take it seriously because it's serious. And you know, like the X-Men are all in like black, and you know, and I love that stuff.
I hated that.
Oh, so you did.
I did. What do you want? Yellow spandex? Yes, Cyclops. That is exactly what we want.
But we've come full circle, so you know we're good. But
we got it now, and it looks great.
But I just love how bright and like not bright like there's a lot of dark, but like. But there's bright colors to contrast that. Like there's neon colors and there's all this, you know, wackiness. It's just like it's so opposed to so much of what came later, and I just love that.
It was in the era where it fit. I honestly don't think there's that many things here that could work. So to actually touch on what you were saying earlier, there are a lot of things I think that would be seen differently nowadays. However, I will remind you though that Peacemaker is a thing.
Yes.
Suicide Squad, what is it? The Commandos are a thing,
Sure,
and
Commandos.
those are all slapstick. And even with their seriousness and bloodshed, they have that bit of slapstick in there, and it's quite a vibe. I don't know if you guys are watching Peacemaker, but it's been awesome.
It's so good. I made a comment in the Slack. I was like, if you had asked me back when I saw Suicide Squad, if I would have loved a show about Peacemaker as much as I do, I would have said you're crazy. But it's so good.
Yeah. John Cena, surprisingly, is amazing at comedy. And I only say surprisingly now. I mean, he's been in it for a few years now, so that he's solid in there. But coming from wrestling to transitioning to acting, and they started off with those WWE movies. 12 Rounds, I think, was his first one with freaking Peter Baelish being the villain. And then he really got into his bag when he started doing the comedy. I was like, oh, okay, hold on there, Mr. Cena, you actually have some skills here. And he just makes this character work. And that's why I think a lot of the slapstick that we see here, it could still transition over. Some things we can't bring, but I think there's a good bit
who
that
knows? Maybe we will get an Elseworlds Batman in the future that does.
We are in the multiverse era.
Back into the campiness. What I'll do is since we've talked about Peacemaker, I'll talk about how it sort of applies to in a way to this movie, to how I was thinking about it, because now we're fully in the era of we can just retcon stuff in the previously on
pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm like, God, now when I watch this, I'm thinking of the Val Kilmer universe version of his encounters with Joker and Catwoman.
That is the beauty
all that
of the multiverse. It automatically made all of those things canon.
Yeah.
Are they in different realities? Yes. Will those realities touch? Maybe, but it's still there. So I think that was freaking brilliant how it was set up for the DCU and for the MCU. I love it seeing it.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to touch on anything we've talked about, Jared?
Jump in. Tag, you're it.
To acknowledge that I'm not caught up on Peacemaker, so I saw the first season. I really enjoyed that. I wanted to rewatch it before season 2 starts. I have not had a chance to start it yet, but I would echo AK's comments about being impressed with just how well John Cena handles comedy, and how the show in general, James Gunn kind of has a knack for taking characters who on the surface should be, kind of unlikable assholes, and making them, relatable and multi-layered. I thought he did that pretty well in his Suicide Squad movie. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he builds. Obviously, I loved Superman, and I'm very keen to see what he's building out with that universe, and when we will eventually get the DCU versions of Batman and Wonder Woman. So I'm very optimistic on the future of DC content in the movies going forward. Because we had talked, Gwen and I have had this conversation, that I'm a bigger fan of the DCEU stuff than he is. I recognize it has its problems, but I thought there was some good stuff in there, particularly with the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. But I was ready for something different.
Agreed.
And so far, I am very much on my think it's off to a very strong start. And I also love that we can still do things outside of that, like the fact that we are still getting the Robert Pattinson Batman movies that get to be their own, thing. So it's overall, I agree, AK. Embrace the multiverse. It allows us to kind of have a bit more storytelling freedom. And if we ever do cross the streams, it'll be fun.
One.
Yeah.
Crossing the
Hi,
streams.
Cortland.
We gotta talk
Hey, Cortland.
Ghostbusters at some point in time.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh God, yeah. Thought about another zany, fun movie. Yeah.
Oh wait, Halloween is coming up. Put a pin in that because I'm
Okay.
definitely gonna be doing some things.
Good, because we actually always take some time to figure out. Oh God, which movie are we going to talk about for Halloween? So that sounds like a great pick for this year.
Yes.
But no, yeah. So I just love now, and especially like, I actually was one of the people, sort of. Obvious issues with the lead actor of it aside, I quite enjoyed the Flash movie because of the multiverse stuff and bringing in like Michael Keaton's Batman, and I just got a huge chuckle out of the fact that George Clooney came at the end of that movie. And so yeah, I love how they had
that
fun
was
with
the only way
Batman
they were gonna
multiverse.
get him. Yeah, he was not about to put the suit back on, and I understand. But he said,
Yeah.
you know what? Okay, I know the folks want it. Let me go on and tap in for 2 minutes, 3 lines. I'm out. Thank you, George. We appreciate that.
By the way, if any of you have never seen his interview on the Graham Norton show where he talks about his experience on Batman, watch it because it's freaking hilarious. Where like he says that he went to Comic-Con once when it was for Batman and the audience starts clapping. He's like, please.
Because he's another one that looks back at that role like, well, not that role specifically, but just the movie in general.
Yeah, he said, I thought that would be a great career move for me. It wasn't.
Had it been done differently, I think it would have delivered for everyone. That's across the board.
Yeah.
They went a little too camp trying to recreate what they did here, and it didn't work out as well as it should have, because they had a stellar cast, a solid cast. It should have worked.
Yeah, it certainly would have worked better if they had gone for, say, Patrick Stewart as Mr. Freeze instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You know what? That absolutely would have worked. What made them choose Arnold for that anyways? That just because that's not that man's character. That's not the way he looks. That's not the way he talks in the comics or in the cartoons. Yeah, Patrick Stewart would have been a shoe-in for that. Then he could have had that and Professor X on a resume.
Yeah, but you know what? He did okay for himself.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, for as big of as controversial as Batman and Robin turned out to be, most of the stars of that movie actually turned out okay. I think director Joel Schumacher went to director jail for a while, but George Clooney, was George Clooney, Uma Thurman, Arnold Schwarzenegger did okay. Hell, even Chris O'Donnell had
Chris O'Donnell for a while. Yeah.
He had a good run on some TV shows, so they survived, even though it was not the catapulting into superstardom that perhaps they thought they were getting when they hitched themselves to a Batman project.
Yeah.
See, I feel like they were all pretty established to me, like that was part of the draw. I mean, obviously it's Batman. I'm gonna go see it, but you got Uma Thurman over here. You got Mrs. Peel over here. Of course, who's not gonna go see her playing Poison Ivy? What?
Yeah. By the way, I absolutely loved her. And
she was fantastic. Loved her playing Poison Ivy. Absolutely. I think she did everything she was supposed to do, even though Bane was ridiculous and campy. That character did what he was supposed to do as well. He was only supposed to sit there and be big and ridiculous.
We're going I will say this is like, at least we're staying in the sort of the Batman universe. We are going off to some different places, but I do
forever.
I'll do that after I say this. I will say there's nothing wrong with doing a ridiculous Bane, because on the Harley Quinn show, Bane is better than he's ever been.
That's still on my list to watch. I've heard, you're talking about that. You're talking about the animated Harley Quinn. right?
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but stellar things about that, particularly her and Ivy's relationship. Which I
It's
haven't
so
had
good.
time to dive in, but yeah, it is on the list.
Yeah, it is one of my absolute favorite TV shows. So,
Nice.
okay, we'll bring it back to Batman Forever now. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit more about like Tommy Lee Jones and what he did with Two-Face, because it is really funny, because this was just about a year after he had done The Fugitive. Which is so funny to think of the contrast of those two movies, still within the Warner Brothers family. But just like, he's like, okay, maybe he doesn't remember it fondly, but like, he did exactly what it called for in this movie. Like, from the opening moments, like, this is a completely unhinged, crazy Harvey Two-Face. I just love the whole like panning from one side of his face to the other. Crazy doodah, clueless luck.
In all fairness to it, though, he's not that far off the mark. Is he a bit more zany? Yeah, but no, you look at the shit that Two-Face does, especially in the darker comics, that man is a maniac. This is absolutely his character, just with a bit more color, and a cameo of Drew Barrymore playing the good side wifey, which I forgot all about until she walked on the screen.
Oh yeah. Yes, this was. I do want to say I do enjoy, like like we talked about, this is a very 90s movie, and
so 90s.
Yeah. And like, if we're going to talk about the ladies, let's also talk about Nicole Kidman. Which and this is what I love to talk about with regards to this movie, like, is sort of moving from like what the parents were not approving of their children watching for Batman Returns, moving into Batman Forever. It's like, yes, if you look at the larger picture, this is a more sort of family friendly, fun, goofy movie. But, you know, if they were concerned about like the sort of S&M features of Catwoman, it's not exactly like moving from that into really thirsty Nicole Kidman.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it was maybe just toned down a little bit, but the thirst was real.
Yeah.
And baby girl did let her thirst flag fly, and I'm not mad at her. No. I'm just saying, like, if you gift wrapping the Punani to like both of them, you just don't know that that's the same dude. She's literally playing both of these dudes.
Yeah.
And I'm not mad at her for it, because now, girl, you got an itch. Go get that scratch.
No.
That was just a lot more risque, I think, which shows you think about how things are now to what was going on here. That was risque back then.
Oh yeah,
like she's literally just taking her shirt off, and she's got like a whole I forget what the exact name for what she's wearing on, but she's still very covered. It's just you could see her shoulders now.
Oh yeah. For 11-year-old me though, it was yeah.
I keep forgetting there's that many years in between us, because I'm already in full on puberty teenage brain looking like hello. The Batman films had a large impact on me, let's just say, because I was even I would have been 3 years younger when I saw Batman Returns with the Michelle Pfeiffer. So. That was yes, very very fond memories of that, and I'm happy to report to anyone that may not know, she absolutely still has it, because she looked just as good in Ant-Man a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate more, like, it's obvious I didn't get the full context of this when I saw the movie first at 8 or 9, even though I was like, oh wow, Nicole Kidman's really pretty. I appreciate just how unapologetically and unabashedly horny this movie is.
That part. Part right there.
Because the thing about other movies like, say, Batman Returns is that obviously Batman Returns has a incredibly, pronounced, psychosexual dynamic going on between Bruce Wayne and Batman and Catwoman and whatever the hell Danny DeVito's doing as the Penguin. But it is still cloaked in a little bit of that, kind of adversarial relationship, because they are ostensibly on opposite sides of the law. So there is a forbidden element where they can't do this. There is not that in this movie. Nicole Kidman's Dr. Chase Meridian, and I'm just going to be blunt, we're not monetized. I'm just going to say, she wants to fuck Batman from the second he shows up on screen. And makes no bones about it. And he takes about 3 seconds to get there himself.
Because it's Batman. Again, the world's greatest detective. Of course he's going to pick up the tea immediately.
Yeah, no, and
he drops out of the sky, and she says, "Hot entrance."
No,
and he's going to lose any of that when he drops the cape and puts on the 3-piece suit. No, my man is even more firmly in his bag because you get to see his face now.
Yeah, no, and they're dynamic. Like the fact that like she is upfront about the fact that one of the reasons she is so attracted to him is because he is psychologically damaged. and
your brain has problems, and I find that sexy as hell. Let's go smash immediately.
Yes, yes, and like I absolutely love like the scene on the roof, that Gwen showed the gif of earlier, like just the lines one after another, where she says a girl can't live by psychoses alone, and he says it's the car, right? Chicks love the car. She talks about what is about the wrong kind of man. In grade school, it was boys with earrings, high school, motorcycles, college, leather jackets. Now, black rubber. Try fireman less to take off.
There's no doubt in my mind that if we were to take a tour, a for real closed doors tour of her apartment, there is absolutely a room hidden behind some bookshelf with all of her lovely toys. And I'm not even gonna lie, I would absolutely like to go visit that with her and get any type of lesson she would like to give me.
Like she has the line later in that scene where she says, "You like strong women? I've done my homework, or do I need skin tight vinyl and a whip?" And then you're like, "It's not." I don't think that's an idle toss up. I'm pretty sure she's like, "I have that."
But you already got that in the bag. She has that on deck and ready, and I am here for that. That is one thing I can say, and it's not just here, but in a lot of 90s shows that were for adults and catered to adults, they were very unapologetic about what they were, because yes, this is real life. There are some of the scenarios you might see on Living Single ridiculous, yeah, but do they come surrounding real people and with real personalities that those characters embody? Absolutely. So yeah, I love that they didn't shy away from that.
Yeah, and I will say that, I'm sure that at 11 years old, a lot of stuff went over my head, but how much she wanted Batman certainly.
Right, how much she wanted Batman, how much she wanted Bruce, and how much within herself she was fighting, like, okay, I can't have both, but they both look good. However, that's not really how we supposed to operate. But that cape though, look at that car. But wait, Bruce's brain, look at how he does business and stuff. He looked good in that 3-piece suit. And she's going back and forth the whole time, and these aren't conversations in her head we hear, but we can tell by that's awesome face acting from her. We can tell exactly what she's thinking with both of these personas of this man. And it's interesting. It's not until like the very end where she knows that it was both of them. But to the smile that he gets as Batman and also as Bruce when he gets one persona gets turned down over the other is, I feel like that's a little bit of your hubris, Batman Bruce. That's a bit of you feeling yourself. And you know what? I'm not gonna hold you on that. You should be high-fiving yourself every day for that. Yep, you did that.
And I will say that at the moment where she kisses him in the mansion and she realizes that he's Batman, I do wonder if like explosions are going off in her head. Like,
as soon as he left out that window, that drawer was being pulled open and a certain thing was being taken out.
But yeah, oh god. So yeah, just so bottom line, this is probably the horniest Batman movie there ever was.
Pretty sure if you like, 'cause I have some not so kind thoughts about the attitudes that Gen Z people seem to be having towards sex in movies. I'm like, if you ever show them this movie, they're gonna have a stroke because you cannot hide from this.
You know what? I don't understand that. Like, I thought y'all was being more free with your thought than we were. What's happening here? Like, how are y'all putting the kid gloves back on? Is that what's happening? Are we really regressing that much? Actually, you know what? Let me take that back. Judging from the state of the U.S. right now, yep. We'll just put that back in the box.
Yeah.
Move on.
I will just say that it's judging by my sample size amongst all the people we know, I would not necessarily say that that sex is something that is not fully supported, but we have many different demographics within the groups of people we know. So, but yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I had to go there. Let's, yeah, no, let's but I will say I feel that because all we talked about with regard to Nicole Kidman is just how she is in the movie. But
look, they put it on display for it to be seen.
Yeah, and I will just say when these are the promo images,
I'm saying
for the movie,
who doesn't want to go see that?
Yeah,
I want to go buy a costume right now. I'm not even a Batman stan like that, for real.
I do want to say I do remember being at a comic book shop and picking up this was one of the baseball cards available, and I do remember purchasing that. That's all I'll say.
As you should have. Should have. Yep. Oh yeah, she was in her bag. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved how they played that. I mean, it was a bit comical, and honestly, because it's Jim Carrey, I wonder if that was a line that was actually in the script, or if he ad-libbed when they did their introductions. It's like, oh, what was it he said? Like, she said her name was Chase, and it's like, oh, you must be like a very fine quarry or something to that.
And what a pursuit effect. You must be, or something like
that.
Yes,
that's it. Like because it's Jim Carrey. He's good with improv like that.
Yeah,
I want to give him the credit for that.
And speaking of which, like, he's just on fire throughout the entire movie.
100%. Oh yeah,
with his improv, or like I'm assuming most of it is improv. Because,
I definitely think that when he went into the cave that first time, when he came in, he's like, oh, it's just so you, and then so you. I don't think anyone wrote that in a script. That's just how Jim Carrey is.
Yeah.
That spoke to me of the theater kid that I know he is.
Yeah, because, and I wanted, I want to go ahead and dive more into and like we can just open ourselves up to talk about how this, I've alluded to it, but how this really was the whole Jim Carrey era, because
Facts.
by this point, obviously he had been on In Living Color, but he had also done Ace Ventura. He had done The Mask.
The Mask.
Which is getting a nice 4K remaster in a couple months. Which I'm actually really excited about.
I will be looking forward to that.
Aside from the movie being great, Cameron Diaz, just saying.
And that was baby Cameron Diaz too. That was like one of her first roles.
Yeah. But yeah, so like for someone just not even into their teens yet, like Jim Carrey, as I said before, was pretty much the god of comedy at this point in time, and I just loved watching him do his thing, and so when he was announced to do the Riddler, it was like, well, there's no way they could have picked anybody better. Like he was just so perfect for it. And and from the moment he's on screen, even just as Edward Nygma before he turns into the Riddler, immediately, like he is in full on Jim Carrey mode, and like it's absolutely wonderful.
I think even if they would have played this movie a bit more on the serious side, he still would have knocked it out the park. Like, and I'll say that for Tommy Lee Jones playing Two-Face also. They still would have given great performances. And they, like you said, the 90s, especially this part of the 90s, that was definitely heavy with Jim Carrey love, and it was well deserved. Well deserved. He's a very talented guy.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, this was definitely the peak of like this version of Jim Carrey, and
he did start taking serious roles come closer to the 2000s.
Yeah, because there's multiple versions of Jim Carrey that I just adore. I also loved, once we got into the era of what's the movie called? I'm drawing a blank. The one with him and Kate Winslet, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That Jim Carrey, who started to still use his comedic talents, but also dip into drama, and a lot more. And but like this was the perfect version of Jim Carrey for kid me, and. And like I could not get enough of him acting as silly and
it fit with his aesthetic for that part of his career. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And and like when he enters the bat cave in the movie, there's all these wonderful sound effects, and like when he's throwing
the alarms going off, intruder alert, intruder alert. He's exactly that kid in class that I won't say is actually a bully, but he just can't like stand anybody. So if anything happens that's in his earshot and he's mad about it, he'll do that to mock them, and that's what he is like this whole movie. And it works. Every little random quirk that he has was employed in this role, and it worked in the mosh of everything, and I loved it. Right, his laugh was perfect. Exactly.
Then there's the bit towards the end where he's like, then a god am
I'm like, bro,
was that over the top? Okay. I can never tell.
Because he knows it's ridiculous. And that's probably also another improv line. I refuse to think that someone had the foresight to put that in the script.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh, he's so good.
Oh, he's absolutely fantastic. Let's pause here for a second. Let's do the mid-roll.
Yes.
And Yeah, so thanks everybody who's watching tonight, and yeah, we're just halfway through. I'm just gonna give a little preview about what we have coming up next week. We're gonna have another this is the year of anniversaries, so we've been marking a lot of special anniversaries with our channel, and we're going to be talking next week about the 25th anniversary of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I actually did want to see if I could persuade AR to try to come on, because they love the movie. Yeah, obviously it's right in their wheelhouse, and
they have the historical knowledge for contrast as well.
Yeah, and I've talked to them about it in the past, but they often have quite a busy schedule. So, so I don't know if that'll work, but I'll
I will send a raven. I will send a raven on both our behalves.
Yeah. But in either case, and I know you mentioned wanting to come on for a lot of this stuff. AK, you are welcome to come on and
yes,
talk
I do have the schedule. And okay. I did miss the last one. I got unexpectedly busy for the last one you guys did.
That's fine.
I'll definitely be around in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
especially for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's a masterful film.
Yeah, and thankfully we will be the week after that. We'll be off because I will actually be going to a Comic-Con with our dear friend Trish Blue Lemons. So that's going to be fun. The week after that, we'll be talking about
Comic-Con.
No, it's one here in Florida. And then the week after that, we're going to be circling back around to Alien Earth for the final 4 episodes of that. Would you like to join us for that?
Yes, it is such a good show, and I would like to extend the invitation for when me and Meeks get to the finale for you guys to come out, hang out as well.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Yeah, I just have you seen the latest episode?
What is the latest episode? 5 or episode 6? Are we on 6
episode
already?
5.
Yes, I have. Yes, I am all caught up.
Oof. Yeah, I mean that was like I wanted something really like reminiscent in that way of the original film, but I had no idea it was going to be so perfectly gift wrapped for me in that fashion.
Right.
And
the one thing Meeks told me, because she watched everything before I did, was there's not one episode where I didn't say it. And I don't know if you watched 227, if you remember Jackie Harry, her character Sandra would always come around. She'd say like Mary, and it was just have like that E emphasis. And Alien Earth, it's so great. But when they do the creepy gore, they do the creepy gore. And I have to like catch myself sometimes. I'm usually pretty good watching stuff, but I'm like, that ew, that it's squishy. Why is it squishy?
Yeah, there's like, and it's funny because I even like they pulled me into a trap with this episode. And we'll talk about this more when we actually have the next discussion. But like, I was like, this is right up my alley, and I'm so enjoying this episode. But there was a certain point about midway through, I'm like, but I'm surprised. It's like it is very much following in the model of like what the first Alien film is, but then other stuff happens to complicate that, and it's like, oh no, this is like a whole other thing.
Alert! Danger, Will Robinson, danger!
Yeah, and I was like, shit.
I was not ready.
And I loved it because you have all those wonderful moments of like where you're screaming at the characters and you're like, turn around, turn around.
Bruh. I would probably have so many more viewers if I actually recorded my reactions all the time. Because I do nothing but yell at the TV watching these shows.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't wait until we have that discussion. I just have to be careful.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
I have to be careful not to spend the entire time talking about that episode. because because if I'm not careful, I will. But then we haven't seen the last couple, so yeah, those are probably going to blow my mind even more. So, but anyway, so yeah, we'll be having that discussion, and then in October, the first week of October, we are finally going to be talking about James Gunn's Superman. So, yeah, and I think you're looking forward to that, Jared, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
I wonder, are you sure?
No, I mean, I love that movie. As I said, I've actually been holding off on trying to rewatch it just because I don't want to, because we are still a couple weeks out. But man, it's good. And I was very pleased to hear that James Gunn is announcing we're actually going to get a direct follow-up to it coming out in 2 years with his Man of Tomorrow movie. So
I would hope so. Yeah.
Yeah, they've confirmed. He's confirmed it. He tweeted out a picture of a Superman and Lex Luthor in the famous armor, and confirmed
nice.
that will be the next project in 2027 after Supergirl. So
imagine that, a Superman sequel.
Yeah,
like that can actually happen. I didn't know that.
I am looking forward to Supergirl. I want
Oh
to see
yeah.
what Baby Rhaenyra is going to do.
I am here for drunk Millie Alcock, having a
she's
chaos
hitting
throughout
all
the game.
the comic nodes, bruh. Like, I was so glad that this is all they gave us, because they hyped up, she's going to be in there, Millie Alcock's playing the new Supergirl, and she was in there for like 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes was so great and so true to her character. I can't wait.
Who knew that her being at the Emmys when House of the Dragon won was or the Golden Globes, or it was one of them where it won. Who knew that was her practicing out for Supergirl?
Is that what happened? I didn't watch.
She was tipsy.
I mean, when you really get in your bag and you get a role and you start getting all these awards, you go out and celebrate a little bit. I understand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's funny because, obviously I was happy about the win, but nobody was really expecting for House of the Dragon to win that, because the Globes never awarded Game of Thrones, and that's probably why they won that award. So I don't think she was expecting that to get up on stage. So that was funny. Oh God! But no, I look that up now. When I heard that she was, a contender to play Supergirl, I was like, I'm not even going to hope for that. That's I'm just going to get upset when she doesn't get it, and
if she doesn't get it,
and then she was cast, and I'm like, oh yes, that has shot up to the top of my list. It's also where I think Jared and I are at right now with those rumors of Adria Arjona being up for Wonder Woman. We're just Adria Arjona, who was in Andor.
I haven't watched Andor.
Okay.
Go ahead, continue. I will look it up right now. Yeah, Adriana.
Anyway, she's just would be absolutely amazing as Wonder Woman, and we're just we can't focus on those rumors because we're just gonna get our hearts broken.
What's the name again? Adriana what?
Adria Arjona. That's her last name is Arjona.
And the first name is Adra. Yeah.
Adria. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's so I do have my fingers crossed for that one, but I'm gonna not get my hopes up either. Anyway, so yeah, Superman. We'll be talking about Superman in October, and I'm sure we'll get together and plan the stuff after that at some point here. But yeah, one more thing I actually want to talk about while we're in the mid-roll before we get back to the movie, because I know Jared is not super knowledgeable about it, and I'm not sure if you are either. Are you versed at all in the Highlander franchise, AK?
Yes. Oh yes. What?
Yes.
Here we are.
Good.
Born to be free.
So can you believe the freaking cast for the reboot?
Are you telling me there is new Highlander coming?
Oh yeah, it's been.
I did not receive that, Raven.
Okay,
who is directing? Do we have cast lists yet?
Yes, we do. Let me.
Is it going to be a full reboot or like a reboot continuation situation? Do we know?
They're starting off with. I don't know if this movie is going to be a complete remake of the first one or if they're just going to use a lot of elements from the first film. But I know they said they're widening out to take advantage of the larger mythology of like the series as well. Like the
Adrian Paul and Chris Lambert are still around. I just need to see them for 5 minutes.
Yeah, well,
and we can move on to the new characters. They better do it right.
Well, no, they are recasting like role. There are like characters.
Were we starting with Clan MacLeod?
Okay, so Connor MacLeod is being played by
Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know.
See him as a big burly Scotsman.
I don't know if he's actually Ramirez or the same type of character as Ramirez, but either way, that character is being played by Russell Crowe.
Okay. I could see that too. All right. Interesting.
Dave Bautista as the Kurgan.
Of course, Bautista's big ass gonna be in there. Then nobody else could play that. It would either have to be him or the dude that played the Mountain.
Yeah, Karen Gillan from Doctor Who and Guardians of the Galaxy is playing Connor's wife, Heather.
Okay, Amy, they better have Amelia Pond in there with some hands. And when I say hands, I mean if something happens, she should be able to fight right next to her man's. Because we know she got them hands.
And let me see if there was. I feel like there was. Oh, Jaimin Hansu is going to be in it.
Playing who? Jaimin, bro, he is not as famous as he should be, man.
Yeah,
preach.
As many accolades as he has, I feel like he should have more.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going like straight with characters from the original films, then there is the character Castigier, who is Connor's friend. If that's who he's playing, I hope they expand that role a lot because he's not in the film very much.
You can't bring Jaimin Hansu in to play a character like that and just make it a small fry character. That would be a disservice to his skills.
Yeah, and also the actor Marissa Abella, who just played in was the spy movie that came out this year, the one with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett. What was it called?
Black Bag.
Didn't watch it.
Black Bag. She was great in that. She is.
Was it good? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny.
They've said that she is playing an immortal, but that might also be the Brenda character from the movie. So maybe they're taking that character but doing something different with her. So
ultimately, what I hear you saying is I should just go ahead and do a rewatch so I can re-up on the lore.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and it's the director who did the John Wick films.
Oh, all in.
Yeah.
Say no more. Literally say less. I'm here.
Yeah. So like I can't believe that like so many great elements are coming together for Highlander.
I'm saying nerds are eating so good in Hollywood right now, man. Y'all don't understand. We didn't have this much presence to see our heroes, our greats on screen like this in the big time. Just I've been loving the nerdy things we've gotten over like the past decade and a half. It's just
back when I was in college watching and I love the Highlander franchise. I freaking adore it. But it was
from the
depressing.
very first one.
Yeah, it was depressing watching the production value and the quality of the strips decline again and again with each further
later
sequel.
Movies and the TV show after the second or so season. It's like they almost ran out of stories and were just grasping at straws.
But and so when I was in college, I was fantasizing about, just imagine if they got a really quality director and an amazing cast to try
vision.
to redo Highlander, and it always felt like a pipe dream. And now this is happening, and I'm
oh my God. And here we are.
Yeah. Oh God!
No, I had not heard about that. I'm so glad that I was able to make the stream, because then I wouldn't know, because you're telling me, and I thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, so now let's
Highlander lore now.
Now let's dive back on topic and get back onto talking about Batman Forever. I don't know. We've been jumping all over the place, even with talking about the movie. So,
here's the thing that I'm sure no one is surprised that we would speak about, but because you only touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but the music, bro, this soundtrack, and not even just the score, but the songs. I mean, this is where we got the Kiss from a Rose.
Well, you'd be able to speak about that more than me, because I can talk about the score all day long, but the songs.
Oh, not the actual songs. No. I mean, I'm pretty sure Seal is still getting royalty checks for how strong that song came through on this soundtrack. And I think a lot of folks didn't know it was made for this soundtrack, because it was just such a breakout hit. It would just be on the radio all the time. Rarely anyone knew that it was on Batman, because back then it wasn't cool to be a nerd yet, so it was only me and a couple people that watched the movie that I knew that knew this song before it started playing on the radios. So yeah. But speak to me a little more about the score. I need my customary waxing poetic from Gwen.
Yeah, so as I said before, it's funny how I don't even know if I consciously was being 11 years old, I was not I obviously loved the music in films, and it was a big part of what made movies great, but I was not consciously necessarily thinking about that stuff when I saw movies at that age. So I don't think I would have taken special notice of the fact that, it's not using Danny Elfman's themes and stuff like that. But I just remember the feeling of watching this movie when the opening credits start up, and it's it's got this wonderfully big splashy Batman main theme, where it's as each of the names and stuff are coming at the screen in those the 3D colorful text graphics, and it's dun, 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 dun. And it's and it just starts off very soft and moody, but then turns into this big splashy adventurous
comes in,
theme. And and it was just immediately Batman to me, and and but then it directly goes into Two-Face coming up on screen, and it's this insane music that's just and it's so crazy, and then the Riddler has his own very, I'm trying to think of how to describe, it's not even before the Riddler is fully formed. It's it's just Edward Nygma's theme of when he peeks from behind his cubicle. And it's like, I am a winner. I am a winner. And yeah, and it's like really goofy, like, you know, he's like teetering, not even teetering, like he's
not even teetering. No, yeah, that's you know already has probably some experiments in his basement that you know he could very easily be locked up for.
Oh, you know what? There is actually one song that I do want to highlight. I just don't know what it's called.
Is it a like song or part of
it's the song when he first goes home to his apartment, and it's talking about like shooting his boss in the head or something. It's this really silly song. You can buy expensive cars and have it your way, something like that. And it's just like that's stuck out to me of like, even when I was a little kid of, you know, watching that, it's like he's, you know, going home to, and it's like a nice song, but then again it has a verse like talking about shooting his boss in the head or something. It's like,
it's literally called Bad Days.
Okay.
Yeah, it's by the band the Flaming Lips.
Yeah, that was absolutely
very
perfect.
fitting for him.
Yeah,
very fitting for him completely.
So yeah, that's at least one song that I can, you know, be sure to single out as like that I thought was extremely effective. And since we spent so much time talking about the rooftop scene, like the love theme between Bruce, Batman, and Chase, which is very much this like film noir type like romantic theme that I just I think is absolutely perfect and adds to the sexiness of the scene. And you know, and yeah, I just thought that was great. And yeah, it's such a wildly different score from what came before. And I want to make sure to, you know, say his name again, Elliot Goldenthal, who is an absolutely brilliant composer and was at his like height in the 90s. And he also did the score to Alien 3, which is actually one of the best elements of that film. Because I've only seen the movie like once or twice, but I've listened to that score so many times because it's like it's just so great. Yes, yeah. Another one of the best elements of that film, definitely. And so yeah, Elliot Goldenthal did a lot of great work, particularly in the 90s, and yeah, and this was great. I like, and that's the thing, like the big sort of over the top, really sort of, you know, with Danny Elfman, it's the gothic flavor. With in this one with Elliot Goldenthal, it's sort of the you know, really big, bold superhero, you know, campy you know, stuff. Like for me, that's the music of Batman. And as much as and this is where I'll probably have a dividing line with Jared, as much as I love Hans Zimmer's work on like the Dark Knight trilogy and stuff like that, the bigger music from these earlier films, as well as the Shirley Walker stuff from the animated series, like that's what I consider like the music of Batman. It's just, it's something that's so larger than life that it conjures up those feelings of, you know, the Dark Knight, you know, and all that. So yeah,
I agree with you 100% on that. And that's I don't know, it's maybe a small sidebar, but that's kind of like a staple thing if you go back and you look at a lot of those cartoons, like with adult eyes and our knowledge in nerddom as it is now. What you'll notice is there were actually a lot of very adult themes in those shows, and the music always catered perfectly to it. Like the Batman 90s show, what was great because it was so gritty, and the score was always like it's one of the best cartoon intros ever, along with X-Men. And I don't know if you guys watched it, but I know me and my cousins, girls and boys, certainly did. But Gem and the Holograms, when that was on, they actively had one of the villainous characters trying to murder these girls every episode. And if you really think back and you go look, 90s cartoons, they didn't do a whole lot of like actual kissing or like too closeness, except with the exception of some of the Batman episodes and Gem and the Holograms and a couple on X-Men. Why? Because you look at the lineup; those were the three most gritty and adult shows that catered to actual themes that we would experience in life, which is interesting. That's why some of these things work so well for this movie.
You just mentioned that, and I'm just thinking because you have obviously the character of Poison Ivy on, on your screen, and I'm thinking, I specifically remember watching Batman the Animated Series and watching Poison Ivy locking lips.
Ivy had no qualms going to get her itches scratched,
and yeah, that also left an impression on child.
So, you and me both. I just didn't know it at the time. I didn't know how to interpret that back then, but I know full well in my bag right now.
Yeah, I do also want to note that as far as the music goes, and you mentioned, how great the music for the animated series was. It was what was so amazing about that was that the scores for that show were recorded with a full orchestra, like a live orchestra, which was very unusual for a what was viewed as a kid's show, a cartoon, and it's what gives it such a larger than life feel. And I actually own like all 4 volumes of the scores from like all the episodes of the show, and those are purchases I do not regret.
You can't see me, but I'm high-fiving you in the nerddom through the screen right now.
Yeah. Anyways, Jared, I'm going to throw over to you because I actually spoke for you with regards to your feelings on the music. That may have been a bit unfair to then not ask you your feelings about it.
Yes, please regale us, good sir.
Yeah.
Well, on Shirley Walker and that being like the definitive sound of Batman for me, like because her theme from the animated series for me, that is what I go to in my heart. But I think that I love the music of this movie. I love the music of the original Burton Batman movies. I agree. I think that they are suited for the types of movies that they are. Like, I do not think this type of score would have worked in Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. I think that he needed the Hans Zimmer score, and I think those scores are pretty damn perfect for those movies. Yeah. But those scores would not have worked for these movies, which are much more as you said, gothic and stylized. And I think that that's the type of score that this movie needed. And I, in particular, like looking at some of the tracks that have really, stood out to me, like I remember the one that I always think of as like the big, like, rousing Batman theme is the one that is like literally impossible to it's because it's a German, some kind of word where it's Fledermaus Marsch music, all one word. and it's I think it's the music that's playing during like one of the big rousing action sequences, but it's like it feels like that. It feels like a German concert chamber piece accompanying this very again hyper stylized version of Gotham City. So yeah, I think that for people who think back to the score from the original, 2, Batman movies that were done by Tim Burton, and then they think about this movie, like you have to acknowledge that this movie actually does carry on that legacy quite well, even though it is doing something, different. And I personally, I really enjoy the music, and I also enjoy the fact that this movie, again in classic '90s fashion, has a rip roaring, soundtrack, which again is something that probably later versions of Batman, wouldn't get into as much. Although I think that the 2022 Batman obviously makes brilliant use of the Nirvana song. That kind of forms the staple of that theme. But in this case, I enjoy like the U2 song, the "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me," that and the "Kiss from a Rose," and you had mentioned the "Bad Days" by the Flaming Lips. It's like, again, this is the '90s vibe of the movie that we enjoy, and I think that for this particular like time capsule, like when I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, this takes me back.
I did want to mention, I don't actually have the CD set in front of me, but I do have the score on my iPhone. Yeah, which by the way, just so I can say, when I just recently bought my new iPhone, I absolutely got one with enough storage space so that I could rip all of my soundtrack CDs in lossless quality onto it, because I don't depend on streaming, y'all. I have a lot of special edition soundtracks that I need on my phone. But I'm looking at the track list
and books.
Yeah, I'm seeing the one that you mentioned, Jared, and then there's also the track at the end, which is of course an homage to Wagner's Rain Cycle. It's called Batter Dameron. So yeah, that's the big finale.
If you wouldn't mind, I would like to give a somewhat honorable mention for the music from the first Batman, just because it just popped in my head, and I had to look it up because I knew there was like a separate CD that was done for it, but I wasn't sure how many songs were on there or if I was just misremembering it. But Prince actually had a hand in making the soundtrack of the first Batman, and he released like like almost its own like just Prince on Batman, with like not 9 or so different songs that were made, aside from the actual score and soundtrack, which I mean, it's Prince, bro. If ever there was somebody you want to do the suндtrack for your film, it was that magical motherfucker right there.
I know, but this is such a me thing. I remember being really confused by that as a kid. It like seeing like
why was Prince doing Batman stuff?
The Batman soundtrack on cassette, and it's like, what are all these songs? I don't hear the Batman theme.
Yeah. Because it wasn't the Batman cartoon. Those first 2 movies, Tim Burton was not trying to deal with nothing from the comics, nothing light and easy.
Well, also, I mean,
raw and gritty, which I feel like that's Batman's aesthetic. And Prince came through and said, "Bet, hold my beer."
Well, and also, I mean, there's a whole great score by Danny Elfman in the film, but like back in those days, especially, like putting the score on like the soundtrack was usually a secondary concern to whatever songs were in the film.
Mainstream song you can get in,
and so the soundtrack album was predominantly Prince's music, which seemed like a no-brainer, of course, for the time. And and so so confusing to me, who heard the Danny Elfman music in the movie and was like, where's that stuff? but that's just such a me thing, obviously. But
Can you highlight one of Chris's second to last comment there? Are you asking, should you ask like if Karen would do that role? Like if do you like if we think she would do a Poison Ivy role? Honestly, I don't know because I've not seen her in a role where sensuality comes into play a whole lot as like the one of the main characteristics of a character. But I think she could do it.
Mm-hmm.
She is I mean I know her first from Doctor Who, and moving on now, she's known as Nebula. I think for Barbara or for Poison Ivy, she would be pretty good in both of those roles. And I think especially with
yeah,
she could absolutely pull off the sensuality that would be needed for it. I honestly don't. I can't pick. I don't care which role it would be. Whatever she's playing, I'm gonna stand because I know she's gonna do a great job.
yeah. All I can say is that whoever ends up, hold on, whoever ends up playing Poison, like the next live action version of Poison Ivy, is gonna have big shoes to fill in my mind, just because I've gotten so used to the voice of Lake Bell in the Harley Quinn animated series,
Yeah.
and she is so amazingly perfect.
I know
that.
her name. What's the like big live action thing she's known for?
She was in one of the things she was in. She was in like the first season or two of Boston Legal, and I feel
okay. I got her face in my head now. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like she's so wonderful in that show. So yeah, but I'm so excited to like. We need a Poison Ivy, a live action Poison Ivy, in the
maybe
modern
at the end,
DCU.
At the end, if you wouldn't mind, maybe we could wrap up with like a short fan casting, and say like who we would like to see in some of these bigger roles. There was one thing that I noticed as I was doing a quick rewatch just before we started, is for a second my memory was confussed when I was thinking about the part where Robin found out that who Bruce really was on the back end, where he did that ridiculous double dare going through obstacle courses to get into the Batcave. And first of all, you fell down like 3 or 4 flights of stone steps, sir. The plot armor on this kid before he even puts on the damn Robin uniform, because you know damn well you should have sprained at least one of your ankles and had 2 cracked ribs coming down, because that wasn't even a straight shot. There were curves in that. So look, kid had more plot armor than Jon Snow right there in season 8. But once when he took the car and he goes out into the city, he sees this gang about to, like, I guess traffic a girl. I don't know what exactly was going on. It is Gotham. Literally anything could have been happening there. And he goes to save her for a second, which is why I had to go back and catch this part, because I'd left to get food and scene was in my brain. And I thought for a hot second we caught a glimpse of Alicia Silverstone as that blonde chick that he saved. And the girl was like, well, okay, doesn't Batman like kiss the damsel in distress after he rescues her and whatnot? And I had to say, wait a minute, hold on, because all I could remember was long blonde hair, and I had to go and hit the rewind. Like, okay, that's not her. I thought for a second we had got like a soft intro, but that wasn't it. No, we won't see my lady Alicia Silverstone, another staple bit of awesomeness from the 90s. She won't come in as Batgirl until the next movie in the franchise.
Yeah,
which was an interesting casting choice. And again, like so many things in that movie, it should have worked. But yeah.
I will just say, as let's see, what would I have been when that movie came out as a 13-year-old at that time? Worked great for me. No complaints.
Facts. You and I both. Actually, here, I have a question, if you wouldn't mind, for both of you gents. Jared, I'll pose it to you first, and then to you. What did you think of the costumes? Because I remember having some very interesting conversations with me and my nerd cousins about the costumes here. So I would love to know what you guys think.
Work for this style of movie. I would I prefer both, other versions of the Batman costume more, specifically, the Michael Keaton version from the first from Batman and Batman Returns, and then the ones that Christian Bale and Robert Pattinson have gone on to wear. And so, but again, I think that for this movie, like, it did not seem out of place to me. And I do think in particular Robin, because the thing about Robin's costume in the comics is that, like, the boy wonder with the tights.
He looks like Peter Pan.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the kind of thing that honestly could not work on screen, and you don't want to do that to poor Chris O'Donnell. So I think that they did a good job of honoring the spirit of the original comic look, while also again updating it for a modern audience. Even though I agree it is quite shiny, and I don't necessarily think of my Batman and Robin as shiny, but again, you shoot it the right way, and it tracks.
Yeah. So. Just focusing on Batman himself for a second here. I would say that my favorite version within this film is the let me see if I can pull them up, like the earlier solid black, with the gold emblem, which I think is a very good continuation but evolution of what they did in the Tim Burton films, with more of a sculpted look, with, like, they had to give Nicole Kidman something to hold on to earlier.
It looks a bit more flexible than the Keaton suits also.
So I quite liked that as a continuation. Now, as I said, it did, like, it was kind of like a little bit of a shock when I first saw those images of, like, the later on suit that is more like has some, like, silver or some shiny stuff going on. But I've still really grown to like it, and I like the way it's complemented with Robin's suit. Even though it was a very sort of stark departure from the style of before, I actually quite like, because again, with Robin, you're not going to do, the tights and all that. That's just, like, that wouldn't work. So I ultimately, I'm quite fond of the Batman Forever costumes. Like I said, for Batman himself, I prefer the more traditional solid black that he gets earlier in the film. But no, I'm fine with it. Like, I'm still firmly in the camp of, like, the Tim Burton Batman suits are, like, top of the line, my favorite. But I do have quite a fondness for these. And if we're talking about the costumes across the board for this film, I mean, again, I love the leotard. Jim Carrey
was on point. It fit for him. Yeah. It fit so well for him.
Yeah, and then with with Two-Face and his lovely ladies, I think it's all wonderfully wild and ridiculous. And
I want to say this is probably one of my favorites, if not No, I think it is my. Even though I know he really doesn't like it. This is my favorite version of Two-Face. This and the '90s cartoon are my favorite versions because just the stark contrast that you can see without it having like the extra gore of who was it that played it in the Nolan films?
Aaron Eckhart.
I forget his name. Yes,
Aaron.
it instead of like showing those fully burnt up, but almost like Jonah Hex. If you ever read those comics, how you can see like a portion of his teeth and like the muscles of his jaw that are all because that much of the skin is burnt away, and it's of the perfect even contrast. And while it's marred and obviously there's a great pain and trauma that happened there, it still fits with him. It's and the perfect blend of that, so you and you. It's I don't know. I dig it. If I was able to get the AI to act right, that would have been my face swap for this stream.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
I like that costume.
I'm just gonna leave this up
I
for
do.
a second.
Look, you will have no complaints from me at all. I will say, like, the first time where Alfred was given Robin the suit, where it did have that, the tights, and basically was just a meshing of what he wore in the circus, and then after that he got the full armor. I do like that they paid a little bit of homage to that.
Yes,
because that is absolutely how it started off. I don't know why they thought in the Adam West days that would be what Batman was actually rolling around in. Again, the world's greatest detective. Like, if you have a problem, he can find a solution. It might not be today or tomorrow, but he will find the solution. He's not going to go fight crime on the mean streets of Gotham in his tidy whities.
Yeah, but it
like,
is
just,
like
you can't be men in tights swinging in Gotham. And then so I want y'all to really know how bad Gotham is supposed to be. I'm from Brooklyn, from New York. Okay, New York. I mean, nowadays with gentrification, there some of the neighborhoods have softened up in different parts. However, in the 80s, 90s, like when this first came out, but the boroughs, Brooklyn wasn't no joke. The Bronx, Harlem, that wasn't no joke. Queens, shit used to go down on a very heavy level, and when you think of Gotham, it's worse. It's like, if you watched Penguin, I think is the truest version of Gotham that we have had visualized in live action form. It's just gritty and it's overrun with gangs and drugs and kingpins, and everyone is scrapping for power block by block all the time. And that's what Batman and Robin are rolling around in. They're not wearing spandex. So it had to have that real world upgrade for these costumes, and they did start that originally with the Michael Keaton Batman, and continued it, evolved it a bit more here. And I really like that they keep evolving the suits.
But I will say, the original 60s suit is great for dancing.
You're right. 100%. Look, it's all breathable. If you at the club a little too long on the dance floor, you get to sweating. Look, that looks like it will work perfectly in that environment. You're still going to sweat, but you're not going to feel it that much in that suit.
When it comes
I
to
agree.
suits, they need to have, they need to fit form and function, and the functionality aspect of it needs to, actually work for and it just depends on what the function is. If the function is
Right.
dancing and carrying a giant bomb over your head until you can throw it into the ocean, then the Adam West costume works perfectly. But if you are actually out on the rough and tumble mean streets of Gotham, as AK says, you want something that provides a little bit more armor, or to go to the Dark Knight trilogy, where Bruce Wayne gets into the ideas of, like, one, he needs to be able able to turn his head so he can back out of the driveway. And two, he
Uh-huh.
might need a little bit more space between the plates because if he's getting mauled by dogs, but it might not. It should still work against cats. So.
It was a big dog.
Yeah, because you're liable to get jumped in Gotham at any point in your venture, so you want to have a little bit of armor on there, because the guys, they're gonna have the what was it called, the brass knuckles. They're gonna have that, or just be wearing random gloves that could protect them, and you got to be able to counter that, because 9 times out of 10 you're fighting by yourself. The whole Bat family is not out here trained yet.
Yeah.
I want to switch gears for a second and talk about 2 carryovers from the Tim Burton films, which I think help carry on the legacy of those films. We have both Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon and the great Michael Gough as Alfred. Before we got Michael Caine, we had Michael Gough, and I specifically, I think I've talked about this before, I specifically remember watching the original Batman film on VHS, and before the movie started, one of the commercials was a Coca-Cola, or either Coca-Cola or Pepsi, I don't remember, commercial with the actor, playing Alfred, and tasting, going, and so I just have such fond memories of him, and I love him as Alfred so much. I think it was a big thing that those 2 actors carry over across all 4 original films. So even as they take place in different areas of the multiverse, but some things stay the same. And so I always loved their presence in these movies, and it's why, we have a different conversation about Batman and Robin, where I kind of hold it in my personal placement of things. But for me, I always even though they are vastly different, especially Batman Returns and Batman Forever always still felt like part of an ongoing series, even though it's this is a very different vision from the past 2 films. But I think because certain elements, like those actors, remain the same, it helped it feel like it was still part of a continuing series. And yeah, I just love having them in the movie. I think they're, especially Alfred is a great grounding element of these films, and I like that he gets a nice send off in Batman and Robin as well.
He gets a nice send off, and we'll pull it in for a bit of the multiverse, is the backstory that in recent years, and when I say recent, I mean as of the last 8 or so years, when those shows were out, is the backstory that we got for him. So I love when new things can come in, and it's, even though it is happening prior to different events, it's still in line with everything. So it works really cool, and it made me love Alfred's character even more, because it makes sense, because the Waynes are a very prominent family, and you're gonna want to have your little prince, for for better term, with his Kingsguard, your main. And if you have Alfred to be the main watcher, and this was before his parents even died, Alfred was the main person that was always looking after Bruce. There's a reason his parents picked him to do that, and it's not because he's well versed in the what in the butler duties, whatever those duties may be. It's not, if some shit goes down and we're not with him, but Alfred can get down and get him home safely when need be. So and I always had an inkling of something extra with this dude, because literally, you're not running this whole household while this man is running the streets, and a corporation day and night. You have to have some other type of skills to be able to keep up with him and the Batman persona and keep all of those affairs in order. So yeah, I think that's great. I love when franchises expound on things like that. And here I think is where they were really starting to get into their bag, and the whole of the not the whole of DC, but like the more of the larger Batman world. They were really, really going into exploring that, and it did continue in the next one. So I think it's been great.
Yeah, let's not forget that he's also a pretty good mechanic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You have to be a man of many skills if you're gonna get this job.
Yeah, no, it's yeah.
The films that come after sometimes are some of the things that make these movies that we love so great.
Yeah. And it is good that, you know, I just love the role he plays in this film, because he's also like, he's teaching Bruce some things about how, you know, that, you know, that Robin is going to make, you know, he's going to make his own choices, but he needs guidance. You know, Bruce's job is not necessarily to lecture, you know, but to be a guiding hand.
And, no, yeah, it's Alfred's job to lecture. Like, sir, don't be trying to do my job for me. You're not good at that. Okay, let me tell you what you need to do, and then I'm gonna go over here and tell him what he needs to do. And you two ridiculous orphan assholes that think that you're the only ones that feel pain in this world can maybe come together and do something greater than both of you to get shit done. Because Alfred peeps the shit from the very beginning, which I love, because, you know, Dick is just walking around, of course, in his, I want to say his teenage emo phase. I know he's grieving, but it's still that same aesthetic that's in there, and it's Gotham, so he's edgy for whatever his reasons. And he comes in, all right, you know, thanks for getting me away from social services or whatever, but I'm gonna go ahead and roll out now. I don't need your charity. I have a plan. Like, that dude killed my family, fucked up my whole world, and I'm about to go send him to meet Jesus or Satan, whoever the fuck wants to take charge of him, but he's not going to be breathing here where I'm breathing if I have anything to say about that. And to Bruce's credit, in that moment, he's like, all right, young bloke, you got that. Your gas tank is like nearly on E though. Won't you go fill up in the garage? Like, you're not gonna hit a gas station for miles. Which, Bruce, what the fuck is this estate that you live on? Miles for a gas? You got your own gas pump, bruh? If that ain't some ridiculous, stupid, money rich people shit, I don't know what is. And Alfred, of course, because Alfred is always gonna Alfred, it just takes one look between him and Bruce. And Bruce, of course, because you know what's gonna catch a young kid's eye. He's on a motorcycle. He likes bikes. Bruce got a whole like literally every cool custom out of date model that you can't get anymore. This dude got. And that's the hook. That's the fish on the end of the hook tossed into the water.
So it's a garage or a car museum, Bruce.
Right, you know? And then just when he's about to leave, all right, y'all go ahead, fill up. Peace out. You know, I hope you get what you're looking for. And Alfred comes in right behind me. And literally, this looked like the juiciest freaking burger with a nice glass of milk. And it was probably a warm glass of milk, because if you know anything, this is why they tell you to give babies warm milk when you're trying to get them to sleep, because the tryptophan that's in there goes right into their brain stems and it makes you sleepy. It gives you the itis. So you got a nice juicy burger on here with some very fresh cut vegetables and a glass of warm milk. And, oh, you leaving? Where? Okay, well, maybe the dogs are hungry. Let me go ahead and get rid of this real quick. And you know, just the smell was just wafting back. Like, I could almost hear his stomach grumbling. Because, again, Alfred is on the game. He didn't need to give Bruce instructions here. And yes, don't mistake it. Bruce needed instruction here. He's an only child. he only had his father with him up until like the age of 12 or 13. Actually, I think it was younger than that. Was it like 9 or 10? So he doesn't know anything about being a big brother. He knows nothing about siblings. He barely knows anything about being a father. What he knows is what Alfred taught him. So yes, that's his father figure, but that doesn't mean he could just put that hat on. He doesn't have that skill set just yet. So Alfred again is here coming in clutch, and he peeps him. Dude is just doing laundry. And again, you don't have to do your own laundry here. Yeah, Alfred could get it. At the very least, you could use the washer and dryer. Dick is like, oh, nah. He's a carny kid. You know, he just puts it in the sink, does all his little spirals, wrenching it out, putting it on the line. And Alfred's just sitting there like, oh, okay, all right. File that away for later. And he peeps the game because he starts checking when he goes into the Batcave now. Because Dick is on. He's already asked, why can't I get into this room? Well, don't you worry about that. Like, and literally, sir, you're on an estate. I don't know if you know what the difference between like a mansion and an estate is, but the fact that this man told you you have to go for miles to get to the next gas station before you leave his house, there's at least 50 other rooms that you can go explore. But you're concerned with this one because teenage angst. Somebody tell you can't go somewhere, you have to know what's behind that locked door. And I feel like that will be all of us. So I understand his outlook here. However,
it's Mr. Wayne's dead wives. What are you talking about?
Exactly. After you hear that, you don't want to just go sit and chill because you're the only other living person here in this room. And this man very clearly, I think you know already, can come and get you in your sleep. He knows where you sleep, bruh. You gonna try to break into his shit? You bold as fuck. Which is one of the reasons that made him a good Robin. Not gonna lie. It's a catch-22. But yeah, Alfred sees that shit. He files it away, and then it comes in. You know, that first time where they go out, he takes him out to a little shindig. And Alfred, you know, emergency. He's like that Iron Man briefcase that Tony had in the Avengers. He gets into his bat suit, and next thing you know, here come Dick out. Alfred, it's an emergency, and this is where we get the tidy whitey outfit because it's Mach 1 of the outfit. And he goes in. I'm like, do y'all know what speaking to each other is? Like, if it was any three of us, I can't imagine any of us like not actually talking to each other and saying, hey, just in case some things go down, and it's Bruce Wayne, there's a chance of something going down every time you walk out the door. Why would you not prepare this young man for that? Then again, that ties in also to what I said earlier, though. You know, Alfred's the one. He's the parental figure here. It's not Bruce, not yet. It's a very interesting dynamic that the three of them have. And again, all credits to Alfred, because we get to see a lot of this through his eyes. And I really like when we have those important side characters that come in and the storytelling is shown, not maybe from them, but just through their perspective. And it makes things work so much better than if you were just following two or three other different people. So that just, I wanted to wax poetic about Alfred for a little bit. Yeah. That was all. Just he's one of the greatest side characters ever, and I love the overall backstory that they gave him in later years, and it fits. Like, of course, he was a fucking secret agent working for MI6. Like, what else would this man be doing but that? So yeah, and it all came to fruition here, and I just, it's one of the things I love about this movie, even though it's indirectly associated.
I do want to go on and talk about sort of the emotional center of this film, which is Bruce Wayne's trauma. But before I do that, Jared, did you have any comments on Alfred that you wanted to talk about?
Just like he said, you know, he is obviously kind of an emotional constant for Bruce throughout every Batman movie, and also he's an emotionally stabilizing agent for characters like Dick in this movie, and kind of recognizing that which characters need to be on the path and when they need to be pulled back, and he never oversteps his bounds really, but he knows how to kind of subtly nudge characters in the right way to get what he wants. And then occasionally when they go a little bit too far, he's not gonna be mad about it, but he is gonna like be a little bit, exasperated. Like one of my absolute favorite scenes in this movie is when he calls Bruce to tell him that that Dick has taken the Batmobile, and he's like, I'm afraid I have some rather disgusting news about the Master Dick. I'm afraid he's gone traveling. He ran away. Actually, he took the car. He boosted the Jag, not the Jaguar, the other car.
The other car. Oh, you mean the
no, sir. Oh. The other.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yes. Alfred is just that guy, man, and I really love before now. I don't think he wasn't getting enough credit, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, he's great, and it's actually probably one of the things that that even though we didn't necessarily get a whole lot of him in the film, be nice if we got a little bit more next time around. I really enjoyed seeing Andy Serkis's version of him in the Batman, and I'm interested to see what we get from him. Maybe that's also just because I love Andy Serkis so much, but but I thought he did a great job.
I thought that was a great continuation from because we got that original backstory in the show Gotham, where he was a younger Alfred, and I think Andy's portrayal was really great there. And it's also another, feather in his cap, or notch in his belt, is we wouldn't even have Batman in this capacity if it wasn't for Alfred. Because if you remember from one of those Elseworlds stories, where I think it was a Crisis on Infinite Earths, where we went to a different realm of Gotham, where it's his dad that became Batman, and it was a much, much grittier and darker Batman. And the difference there, again, I think, is Alfred, because this is an adult man that doesn't have to listen to you. And in our main version, there's a child that is coming up that very much still needs guidance and being taught what is right and wrong, and how you should assess the world properly to not just help yourself but help others if you can. And that's it's very interesting to see the different dynamics there. And again, just wax and poet about Alfred because he's awesome like that.
Yeah. So now switching gears on to talking about the sort of Bruce's trauma in this movie. And actually there's a very interesting wrinkle about this, because there's actually an element of this part of the story which is not in the final cut of the film, which is exactly what is written in the Red Book that Bruce keeps seeing in his dreams. Which was supposed to be in the version of the film that was written and even shot, which was that when Bruce uncovers the memory of opening his father's book, which was his diary, that the last entry was, Martha and I wanted to stay in tonight, but Bruce insists on wanting to go to the movies, and that was his secret trauma that he blamed himself, which I really wish was in the movie, because when you watch the movie with that information, it does feel like an important piece of the story in unlocking what Bruce is going through. But they may have felt that was a bit too heavy for what they were, at least on the studio side. Maybe they felt that just didn't go with the vibe of the movie they were releasing. But I think once you know that, it's impossible not to see it in all those scenes. But I really like that because it's juxtaposed against this really wild and fun story, but there is this serious, element of the film that deals with Bruce's trauma. And this is where I think we can talk a bit more about as well, Nicole Kidman's like the other side of her performance, just besides showing up and being sexy, is that I really love all the stuff with her kind of talking with Bruce and sort of unlocking this. And I think that they're both so good in these moments, between them, and sort of her helping Bruce sort of open himself up to, thinking what all this stuff means. And yeah, I think it's the main thing that really grounds this movie in a way that, again, where Batman and Robin just sort of went full throttle into the silliness. I think this movie has one foot still in telling, a story about the Dark Knight and the trauma that led to Bruce Wayne becoming Batman. And I think it's what gives the movie its straight balance and makes it all work. And I think Val Kilmer is just so good at portraying, a Bruce who is, weighed down by all this. And so for me, it's one of the big important elements of the movie that I think is done really well.
Yeah,
Jared.
I think that like ultimately, like every Batman story, and whether movies, comics, TV shows, other forms of the media, they all have to deal with the essential tenets of the Batman mythology, which is the duality of Bruce Wayne and Batman, and the overall kind of the cost, the psychological cost of what choosing a life like this does to you. Why do you do something? Go on to do something like this. And we were joking earlier about the fact that Dr. Chase Meridian one of the things that seems to attract her to Batman is the fact that she teases him about having psychoses, but he does in many respects. And one of the things that makes him a hero and not a villain is that he ultimately still finds a way to walk on the right side of the light and not become like the people that he's fighting. But he has done that by trying very much to keep a separation between Bruce Wayne and Batman. And in this movie, I think his journey is recognizing that he is and he can be and he always will be both. Like one of my favorite lines, the one I used to actually promote this stream, it comes from this scene where he's talking to Chase, and she's trying to kind of press him, and he has the line, "Do you want to know me? Do you want to know who I am? I guess we're all two people, one daylight and the one we keep in shadow," which is like spot on, not only for the character of Batman, but just for everyone, because we all have that kind of that secret self, that side of us that we don't always want to let other people see, and we kind of try to hide it in shadow and maybe not deny its existence at times, but it is part of us. And in Bruce's case, it is what makes him who he is, and it's often been said in other forms of Batman media that a lot of times Batman is the character's true face and Bruce Wayne is his mask. But this movie does kind of play with the idea that, Bruce Wayne does still have a life and desires outside of being Batman. And he even acknowledges as much to that to Dick later in the movie, that he is thinking about walking away. And part of it is that he's falling in love with this woman, Chase, who is actually also starting to become more attracted to the Bruce side of his persona, even though she doesn't realize yet that they are, in fact, the same man. And I think that ultimately, it's one of the reasons why by the end of the movie, he of course defeats the Riddler, but like his big, he has to get his big speech in at the end, but he acknowledges, like, because Riddler tries to give him this impossible choice, And Bruce being Batman, you know, he finds a way to save them both and
you don't get to say both your social media post line and mine, so I'm gonna
please go ahead. But I was just gonna say that the payoff of the line that I used is the line that you used to promote the stream, of course. So
poor Edward, I had
bullshit immediately right there. Is like, you know, I can't. There's absolutely no way I could save both of them.
It's a poor Edward. I had to save them both. You see, I'm both Bruce Wayne and Batman, not because I have to be, now because I choose to be.
Yeah, and a lot of the storylines always do come to that point as to where, you know, it's why he doesn't kill, because then it would make him, you know, just as bad as them. However, I will say you're already as bad as them, Batman. How many times you gonna let Joker bust out of Arkham to kill how many more people in Gotham or wherever he decides to go play his next joke on? So I'm sorry. I would be more in the Punisher camp with this. You know, you come across a motherfucker like Joker, you want one bullet between the eyes, cancel that out completely.
Oh yeah, I'm not on the Punisher side there. I'm definitely more of in the Batman camp. So
how many people you gonna let die because you keep giving this dude chances to reform? You catch him, you lock him up, he stays in there for a little bit, he comes out, kills another 1,000 people by wrecking some trains. You catch him, he goes back in, he breaks out, he blows up a couple bridges next time, a few hundred more people die. Where are you going to stop that cycle? It could be all of them or just one bullet to him.
Well, this is where we get into the conversation of Gotham's prison system needs reforming, because they obviously don't do a good job at keeping their people behind bars.
That is also a part of it, but that's not, you can't put all of the blame there. You still have to contend with these maniacs that are being allowed to run around rampant whenever they break out of them bonds.
I mean, it's a personal position. I don't think, I don't want to get into that, because I feel like that could lead us down a whole, elaborate discussion.
It is a completely different rabbit hole. I only interjected it because, again, I'm not one that shies away from the other side of looking at things. Like what you watch Game of Thrones. I know you did for sure, Gwen. I didn't know you in that era, Jared. That's why I was saying specifically him. But I love the Stark. So like how Stark, that's my thing. However, they have as much blood in their hands as everybody else, and that's nothing. And there were absolutely mistakes made in multiple of their storylines. So that's all I'm saying. If we're looking at all of the good, which we did have a lot of good here, you have to also think about the repercussions in the aftermath of the actions that happened here too.
That is the central conceit of the Batman character. It's why he's been one of the most fascinating superhero characters in any medium, is that he is incredibly violent and brutal and terrifying to these criminals, but he does have this line that he will not cross. And the reason that he chooses not to cross it, one, is grounded in his past, in the trauma that he went through, but also because he has made the decision that he will not be, not specifically that he will not, kill, because like sometimes that, but that he will not be an executioner, and I think that is where, for as much as you do have to reckon with, the consequences of, yes, if Batman puts the Joker in prison and then the Joker breaks out like again and again and again, and they do this dance forever, does Batman eventually bear the responsibility? And like there is a complicated part of that, because yes, it has to do with the Gotham penal system, and it also has to do with Batman's line, but it does become very dark, to the point where you have to confront the fact of, what if Batman one day woke up and decided he was going to kill the Joker, and then he did, directly, not in the case of like in the Batman. I should note, in this corner of the Batman universe, the Joker's dead because he fell off a building. But in this case, that is a moment where he would, in many respects, he would be fundamentally changed. And would he still be the character that people see as a hero anymore? It would be in the eye of the beholder. And I think that that is one of the things that I found more powerful about subsequent Gotham storytelling, which is the idea that even though Batman is this incredibly, dark and capable superhero, his ultimate function is to inspire hope. It is to inspire the people of Gotham that they can stand up to these criminals, that they can be better. And well, Gotham's a deeply screwed up place, and we have gotten 80 years of Batman stories with the idea that, Gotham is never going to get better. Like that is the battle that he is fighting, And so I get a little bit wary just of like the idea that yes, if like the smart thing, the logical thing, the easier thing for Batman to do would be to kill these psychopaths. But that is a character like the Punisher, like what he does, but it comes with its own psychological cost. And if that is a line that Batman is not willing to cross, then it is like essentially, agreeing to damn his own soul for the betterment of then, it is right to question him on that. But I do still think it is an admirable choice that he chooses not to do that.
Oh no, well, from how you said it, like he won't actively go out to completely take somebody out. No, that's not what I was talking about. I totally, I wouldn't advocate for anyone doing that either. But in these altercations that they get into, the bulk of them, a lot of times he's saving Harley from like absolute ruin or death, or maybe there's been multiple times where he's pulled Joker out the fire because of, and not because of anything like he specifically did, but consequences of shit going left around them. That's what I'm saying. So in that case, you can choose to not save someone, because ultimately once you do that for them, it does lead to more innocent lives being taken. But I get it. Yeah, that's why Batman is such a polarizing character. Like there's multiple things you could say on either side of the argument. And I will say I while I have beef with his character on that, I do say he is absolutely still out here doing good deeds. I think there's different things he could be doing.
I think within
that whole sphere.
I think one of the most fascinating films to sort of deal with that dilemma was actually Batman Begins, because of the ultimate final confrontation with Ra's al Ghul and the line, "I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you."
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's hard to fault him on coming to that decision.
I'm behind that, the sentiments and all the meaning behind that line 100%. I think in that case, because I'm not a big fan of Christian Bale's Batman, but in that case, in that scene when he said that, he was 100% correct.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm going back.
Big points. Any other big points you wanted to bring? Or Jared, did you have anything that you wanted to expound on, good sir?
I actually just wanted to go back up. There was a comment I wanted to highlight real quick. Now I'm just having to find the post. I don't know if this is one, but it's talking about that scene. Just during that scene after they kissed, I was thinking if she caught on to him being Batman. I don't think she catches on until later at the mansion. But I am also I'm deciding I'm not adverse to using this as an opportunity to put up another Nicole Kidman gif for that scene because
It's
I
for
have
purposes, sir.
for research.
No, this has to. No, this is a point in our discussion
Yes.
that we need to expound upon. And again, bro, the freaking Riz this dude has to have, just in the middle of the night, he could just pop up and float down onto her balcony. And she's not even pressed. Like, look at her face. She's not worried. She's a bit surprised because she wasn't expecting him. But look at her shoulders. And I'm saying specifically look at her shoulders because that's like a dead giveaway of what is not under that sheet.
Yeah, well, she did.
To bed.
This is after she said "my place midnight," so she's ready.
Oh no! See, we know that. We know that. I'm saying that specifically for anyone that may come and tune in later, that possibly is young enough to have not seen this film. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. The riz that you have to have. Again, think about where we are here in 2025. If I live downtown in one of these, the equivalent of what her cool apartment looked like in my city. If a bitch came down on my fucking balcony in the middle of the night, she's not getting AK pressed and undressed and ready, slippery, so to speak, for lack of better words and YouTube guidelines, under the sheets. That's not no. Bitch, did you call me? Did we set this up ahead of time? No, you are far more likely to get Tonto thrown at your head, because what the fuck are you doing? I live on the 4th floor. Why are you here? How did you get here? But no, not Chase. No, she just rise up. So it's almost like she came out of her Calgon moment. I don't know if y'all are old enough to remember them commercials. Calgon, take me away. And basically it was a woman having like the most relaxing bubble bath ever, tuning out the kids and the significant other and husbands. And this is her coming out of that moment like, oh, my savior, have you come to temper my fires, so to speak.
I also something else that like occurred to me while I was watching the movie that I wanted to make sure I mentioned it. It's like whether it's this moment or the aforementioned
I favor this one.
Yes. Now it's not so much in the same, but I'm thinking like even like especially in like the beginning of the movie when we're first seeing her, like her hair is blowing in the wind so much. There is such an old Hollywood aspect to how
there are
is presented in this.
Yes, for any movie from like the mid 80s up until like the very early 2000s, if a woman who was the love interest came on the screen, there would be some reason for her hair to be flowing in the wind. It does not matter whether she was black, white, Asian, Indian, Native American. Yes, there's a difference for any idiot that's listening to this later. Don't try to get at me in the comments. For any person that came on there was they always had their hair styled in a way that the wind would be blowing, like Weekend at Bernie's, we're on the beach, hair flowing in the wind. Baywatch, back in the day, they on the beach when the sun's going down, hair flowing in the wind. Pamela Anderson on there, booty boobies in the front, just bouncing with the bump. There were reasons. Star from The Lost Boys, again, one of my absolute favorite vampire movies of all time, on the docks, flirting with Michael, hair blowing in the wind. It does not matter. If you were a love interest in that era of movies or TV, you had a scene where you had the best blowout and waves of the gods in your hairstyle to entice whoever you were meant to entice. And I loved it. I'm not complaining. I'm just commenting and letting y'all know what the situation was.
Oh, those were the days. No.
Indeed. Look, I'm just saying, okay, Star from The Lost Boys, bruh. I'm Lost Boys is on my Halloween, my spooky season list for this year. Y'all are welcome. Here's your formal invitation if you want to come wax poetic about the Lost Boys.
That is actually a hole in my movie watching history. I have actually never seen it. As horrible as that may sound.
No. I think my headphones had cut out right there. Can you say that again, please?
I won't. I'm scared of what
it was crackling.
I'm scared of what we'll do to me.
I promise I didn't hear what you said. I want to make sure we are of a proper understanding on the stream. What happened with the Lost Boys, you said?
I have never seen it.
It is 2025.
I know.
It is 2025, and you are on the exact same level of nerd as I am.
Well, hey, wait a second. Like earlier.
What house are you?
Listen, earlier this year, I got Jared to watch Back to the Future for the very first time. So, like, that's
I
bad.
can't hear it, but I just dropped my pen. I literally just did like the equivalent of Uncle Roger dropping his foot when he sees some fuckery in a food prep video. Probably somebody fucking up how you make fried rice. But Jared, y'all just disturbed my soul on so many levels.
This was a whole thing where last year where I basically, the reason I had never actually seen Back to the Future beginning to end was because the movie had just become so culturally ingrained, through cultural osmosis, that I knew every single plot and every single character beat of the movie without having seen it. So I just never felt the need to. And then finally, I threw that out to Gwen because this, to rehash an old discourse, Gwen basically got into an absolute rage in the Force Center Discord because one of our friends of one of the podcasts we listened to, Ken Napzok, had acknowledged that he had never seen the 1994 Lion King, and Gwen just absolutely refused to accept this. And I thought he was being a little bit harsh, so I basically I'm like, hey, Gwen, not everybody watches as many movies as you do. Sometimes blind spots happen.
Everyone watches that movie.
I've never seen Back. Like he's a little bit older, the guy, but I was just like, I've never seen Back to the Future. And rather than opening his heart and understanding, Gwen promptly turned his rage on me, and I'm just like,
yeah, you deserved it.
And I was just like, Gwen, you have to be careful with this kind of stuff because I will fight back if you try to ostracize me.
But see, and now it continues on because now I've got you mad at me for not having seen.
I have smoke with both of y'all. Okay, now look, what houses are y'all?
In Harry Potter.
Oh, you didn't need me to explain that. What house are you?
I'm Ravenclaw.
Okay, see, that makes it even worse. Gwen, what house are you?
Gryffindor.
Even 1,000 points from Ravenclaw. Do you know how many times Helena is plotting on you right now? Okay, Lady Ravenclaw is about to come out the ether right now and smack you upside the head.
That's okay. I welcome a visit from Kelly MacDonald.
And you, Gwen. Look, I don't even know what to say to you, but we are both Gryffindor. We don't do shit like this. We make sure we have all of the knowledge so we can flex on everybody later.
I know.
And it's only because of that. Instead of 1,000, you're only getting 800 points from Gryffindor.
You're enjoying this, aren't you, Jared?
I am.
This voice.
Because it happens. There are cinematic blind spots that we all have, and sometimes I just want people to understand that we are kind of at the upper levels of nerdery, because I have people I have people in my life that for there are movies like that who they insist they have never seen it, and I'm like, that's literally impossible. Like my own mother had insisted for years that she had never seen the original Star Wars trilogy, which I just refused to believe. And so I finally made eminent, but it's because she just is the kind of person who didn't watch many movies as a child, and that happens. So
no, but I just love that my favorite part of this is just listening though, Jared, to your account of like how I responded to our friend Ken and how then you said something that you thought would calm me down, but I in turn turned my rage upon you.
I am offended on both levels right now, and I'll see it. Look again, House Gryffindor. But when it comes to dual casting, I am always House Gryffindor with very strong Ravenclaw tendencies. That's my dual house. I don't know if y'all ever took the dual house quiz, but that's my dual house, and I am just my gasters.
I do want to defend. I do want to defend one thing. I understand why Jared asked for clarification when you said what house, and he asked Harry Potter, because we're all very much in the Game of Thrones fandom. So like,
okay, but do they take points from houses in Game of Thrones? No, they do not. And the first thing he said after that was some Harry Potter stuff, which is why I said you didn't need to ask that question, sir. You already knew. Because we both have Ravenclaw tendencies. You even more than me. I'm disappointed, sir. I'm giving you my best Professor McGonagall disappointed finding you idiots in the freaking bathroom with the troll not coming to ask for help. Tisk tisk. Tisk tisk.
I am
well, okay. Look, for anyone that may have been curious that has not ever seen me on Gwen's channel before, yes, this is the level of nerd I be on sometimes. And something when my nerd is offended, then yes, there must be repercussions and consequences. So I'm gonna make a note of this. You might end up getting a pop quiz next time I'm here.
Okay. What I also love is how I don't think, and I'm not, I swear to God, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. This is so like absolutely something that I love, but I don't think I ever go off on as many tangents as when you're here. AK.
You are correct. You are correct. Look, literally my house words should be tangent. That's it. And I don't ever mean it to happen, but our nerddoms be so connected sometimes.
Yes.
And that's how we speak. So like literally how I speak on here now. You can ask my cousins. Matter of fact, go watch my House of the Dragon coverage for season 1 and 2. My cousins will tell you, yeah, this is just what we do all the time. And Gwen is the homie. This is like an OG YouTube fam. So that's like my little brother. So that's how we vibe. And Jared, it's been a pleasure knowing you since we're on the family love now. So yeah, you get that. So I for anyone that is offended by tangents, I do sincerely apologize to your guests. But yeah, we like to have fun and we talk about all nerdy things when we go into stuff. When
it will never be as bad as earlier this year when Jared and I did an Oscar stream, but we chose to have Amadeus as our main topic because the 4K release had,
and you didn't call me.
We should probably redo that at some point because I'm going to tell you why.
Nah. I gave you a pass, bro. I gave you a pass. No.
Let me elaborate on what happened.
Explain to Jared why this is a problem, please.
Okay, because the plan was because we were doing this on Oscar Sunday. And so the idea was we were going to mainly focus on Amadeus and talk about that, but we were going to use the mid-roll and take just a little bit longer than we normally do to talk about like our favorite films of the year to mark the occasion since it was the Oscars. We ended up going on for 2 hours about our favorite films of the year with the Amadeus discussion on either side of that. So
okay, now give him
by
the Amadeus backstory also. That's what I was talking about, the Amadeus backstory with me and you, because we've talked about that before.
Yeah, but
Jared wasn't
talked
around
about Amadeus for 3 hours because that stream went for nearly 5.
Yeah. No, like
But
I was so
there was
excited.
another time we spoke about Amadeus though. And it was a while ago.
Yeah, were you on that original stream?
Yeah, it was me, you, I cannot remember her name. Baby girl on the boats.
Yeah.
What she had on this awesome. She was in costume for the stream.
Yeah. Shakes of Thrones. That's who it was.
Yes.
And
Shakes, and there was. I think there was one
Laura
other person with us. Yes,
Laura was on.
Mm-hmm.
And
right. See what my point though, Jared, was Gwen knows Amadeus is also a very loved part of my childhood as well, and we literally waxed poetic for like 2.5 hours on a stream about this in a discussion. And you mean to tell me it was remastered and you didn't send me not one raven?
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna have to check our credentials. I'm gonna have to.
And it's the original theatrical cut of the film as well. Finally, so. Okay, I am gonna bring this
all
back.
jokes, people. We're just joking. Do not take anything I said seriously at all.
I'm gonna bring this
for those of y'all that don't know me. He knows
I'm going to bring this back to Batman for a second, because we talked about the major stuff I wanted to talk about. I just I want this to be the section where we just throw out some stuff that we maybe didn't touch on. I do want to talk about the Batmobile really quick, because this is a freaking wild version of the Batmobile, and I don't like it as much as the Tim Burton
like
Batmobile, which is classic. Oh, you don't? But I'm more fond of it than I am of what came later. And maybe this is sacrilegious to some people, but like, you know, I don't dislike it, but like the tank from the Nolan films, it's never really struck me as a Batmobile. It's a tank.
It was, but it was also kind of like a Mach 1 though, where he was.
Okay.
He was just now getting the tech and developing things that he might need. So I can forgive that. That's actually one of probably maybe one of my top 5 Batmobiles, okay. I think. Because it was for that setting, it was just practical for how he needed to move. So the design can definitely, I think, be reevaluated, but I understand its functionality for him. This right here, this reminds me of I don't know if you remember the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yes.
Nemo's car. This looks just like a shorter black version, a worse version of this car, because the color on it looks weird with like the random how the breaks in the armor are. It looks like it's meant to be like bone armor, if you can picture what that is in your head.
Okay.
And it's the front of it is a bit shorter than Nemo's car was. And I don't know, it just, and the spoilers that are on the back, just it just doesn't make sense to me. It's not that good of a design. It's not like the sleek, sexy tech that we're used to from Batman.
Yeah, it's yeah. I want to be clear. It's not among my favorite. I think like my favorite Batmobiles have been, first of all, the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batmobile, the animated series Batmobile, which is fairly close, intentionally so.
Yeah.
And then for nostalgia's sake, I'm gonna go with the Adam West Batmobile.
Do you have a picture of that? Please tell me you have a picture of that.
I don't. I can find one. But
I don't remember what that one. It had purple tones to it, didn't it? Like to match his suit, or am I misremembering that? Am I thinking of a cartoon, not live action? Because yeah, for also for those that don't know, there was also an earlier version of Batman cartoons before the 90s.
There's the original 60s Batmobile is black and red.
Okay.
All right, I got a picture here. Let me save it. Oh wait, it's not it. Hold on. There's always all these.
You could just like share your Google search if you make the picture a little bigger. You don't have to save it. Unless you want to, just to help you save on memory for whatnot.
Yeah, it's the only thing that drives me crazy is like they never very often they don't let you save an image as a JPEG, and it just causes
some of them are weird like that. It's one of the reasons I'm glad I do still have a slightly older model computer, because it came with the Microsoft Paint 3D, which I have learned that they are not continuing for current models.
Here we go. Here's the Adam West Batmobile.
That fits the time. Like it's low-key muscle car, which was very big in that era. That was like the beginning of that era. And I mean, the design looks pretty sleek to me, actually. I don't think I like the what is that, like the yellow orange trim on that. But the overall design, it actually reminds me kind of the Fantastic Four ships and cars that we just got recently.
And now that I'm looking at it, and I'm actually remembering that this was a discussion point when the movie was coming out, but I can actually see where the Batmobile from the Matt Reeves Batman took some inspiration from this.
Yeah, mm-hmm. That's what it was modeled after.
Yeah.
It gives me notes of that, and it definitely makes me think of the futuristic 60s era of Fantastic Four we just got.
Yes.
Which is fascinating. I kind of love how we did that, and we'll again shelve that for a different day conversation.
Yeah, because I don't know how you felt about it, but I absolutely loved the movie, and I enjoyed it. It's just because I was a huge Fantastic Four fan as a kid, and so I've been waiting for 100%. Something like this. So.
I have literally been waiting for them to bring in the 90s Fantastic Four, because if y'all didn't know, Jessica Alba is still that bitch.
We have had that conversation about like the Doomsday better freaking.
So look, if Max Guevara does not come out in some way, shape, or form, and if you don't know the reference of Max Guevara, that was Jennifer Alba's first like super breakout role on the TV show called Dark Angel, which was kind of awesome back in the day.
We go down this road. What? Okay.
Oh, okay. No. We're gonna talk about that later, because I didn't know that you was into Dark Angel like that. I ain't met too many people that like the show like that.
I mean, I wasn't like obsessed.
We'll talk about that later.
But like anybody else with a pulse when that show came out, you know, just like anytime it was on TV, like because I worked for the local Fox affiliate when that show was on, and so the TVs were always on Fox, and so there were many times when.
I will take 100 points from Gryffindor from myself for that. What I said, we can talk about that after we wrap. I didn't want to sidetrack too much. I'm sorry, you said Fantastic Four was in my brain, and
anyway, so
yes, I'm so sorry, Jared. I do be derailing things sometimes. It's I like nerd things, and I like when all my nerd things connect, and they do that a lot. I'm sorry.
Okay, so like I'm going to throw it to, well, first of all, I'll throw it to you, Jared. There's a lot of stuff we honestly didn't talk about from the movie, because we normally go into a very sort of in-depth beat by beat. I didn't feel like for this movie, I felt it would be more fun just to cast a wide net and just talk about it broadly. But are there any in particular things that you wanted to highlight from the movie and talk about?
Touch on the movie's action sequences because I actually think they're quite good and quite well shot for the era. You know, it's notable that we talked about this movie like having kind of a different like aesthetic, but it actually did get nominated for the Oscar for Best Cinematography, and it's one of the things, it lost to Braveheart, but it's one of the reasons why even though this movie has it's not up to the standard of action choreography that we get in modern times, it actually tracks pretty well, and you can actually follow the fact that Batman is taking on multiple foes and using his gadgets and outmaneuvering them quite effectively. Like the scene in the elevator where Tommy Lee Jones thinks he's got him, and then Batman comes down on the top and just takes out his goons, and Two-Face has to run away. Or perhaps this one is meant to be a little bit more comedic, but I do greatly enjoy the action scene where Robin, or not yet Robin, but Dick goes joyriding in the Batmobile and goes and looks for some thugs to get into a confrontation with, and he's actually acquitting himself decently well, but he's just because he's using his circus acrobatic tricks, but then it finally ends up, he needs Batman's assistance. Although, and there is the moment that perhaps is dated but is funny where he saves the girl and she's like, wait, does Batman ever kiss the girl? and he gives her a big kiss and he's like, I can get used to this superhero thing. But I really also enjoy the climactic action sequences near the end where the Riddler has his big the evil plan where he's going to drop both Chase and Dick into this supposed death trap, and then we mentioned Batman finds a way to save them both, but he manages to outmaneuver Two-Face, and Two-Face falls to his death. But overall, again, it's 90s action choreography, so it doesn't, have quite the same level of polish and visual effects that we'll become accustomed to later. But for the era, it actually feels pretty visceral and real. It feels like Batman action. And so I did want to shout that out.
You've actually just reminded me of something when talking about Riddler's. We didn't really go in depth on what Riddler's actual scheme for the movie is, but it does have a lot of relevance, honestly. Yeah. Just because of his mind controlling creation of that starts off of wanting to give people the ability to feel like they're inside the show, and what it ends up being is turning all the citizens of Gotham into basically zombies and sucking their brain energy, not at all unlike the modern day internet. But yeah, so but
that gives me a question of
what
are the guidelines or standard rules any random corporation has to deal with there, especially you thinking Bruce shut him down on what he wanted to do because he didn't want to look at any of the safety concerns or make up a blueprint or outline of how everything was going to go in detail. He just wanted to do it, and Bruce already saw the danger, was like, no, if you don't want to do the proper research and development part of this and give me all the information that's needed and how you could counteract any negative thing that happens, then I gotta show you. And that immediately is his villain origin story, as you were supposed to understand. But why would you think that, though? I mean, obviously they hired you. They had to have done some kind of background check. Were there no sketchy things that you saw on this dude's resume? Because I feel
Maybe
like maybe
something
y'all
like
just
that.
didn't do your due diligence to find that information.
I think Ed Begley Jr. is regretting hiring Nick this
Yeah.
movie.
So this reminds me of a Harrison Ford quote where you're asking about like why was he hired, like didn't they look into his background, and I just hear Harrison Ford going, it's not that kind of movie, kid.
Or it just jumped in my head just now. Just Ant-Man. Look, Baskin Robbins always finds out. Maybe it just took a while for the background check to come through. That's just wild.
Yeah, but no, Jared, you were mentioning action sequences, and like I just want to mention like when they're having the big gala for Enigma's invention, and then Two-Face and his goons come in, and that whole thing with Jim Carrey going, you're ruining my big party. Are you insane? And then Batman comes in and says, your entrance was good. His was better.
His was better.
and then everything. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say, while he can absolutely not stand Batman, that is literally his second arch nemesis. Second because Bruce is his first. He's giving him a compliment, like, "Look, bruh, homie, you came in with that. You did that. He had like the theater kid entrance, but then Batman saw that shit, was like, I live in the theater. You only play here." With that, came in with that type of intro. And yeah, if you want to look at what was that the Deadpool said, superhero landing, yeah, he came in, you came in good, Two-Face, but nah, he beat you right there. Sorry.
Yeah, and then
I appreciate that about his character.
And going back to like Nicole Kidman and her wavy hair, when Batman comes crashing through the ceiling and she's just looking up at him, it's such a movie moment.
You know what it is? This would be an interesting question. I don't know. Do y'all remember like Harlequin romance novels? Did y'all ever? Did your moms ever?
I know all of them.
Show you all them books. Okay, well, there's usually a guy and a girl on the cover, and no matter what they're doing, their hair is always blowing in the wind. Yeah, like the character Fabio, that was the guy on the cover of like all of the Harlequin romance novels. So yeah, that's why that small resurgence he had with his hair being awesome was a thing. So yeah, that's exactly what she incorporated here. Camera pan down, she saw the shit, she was mesmerized. Full glow up. If they would have put music on it probably would have sounded like oh, and that that's her signature move, if you will.
Yeah, I was trying to think what some of her scenes like for the score are called, because I remember it kind of cracking me up a little bit. Where is it? Okay, one of them is called Chase Noir, which
is that an alias she was using?
No, as in film noir. Like,
well, yeah, I caught that. Wait, was that her actual last name was Noir?
No. It's the track titles on the soundtrack.
Gotcha.
And then
she does have a very noir feel about her.
Yeah. And then there's Rooftop Seduction.
Told you they know what they're doing. It's just like
Yeah.
nowadays, if you want to see what the movies might give you in storylines, look at the Funko Pops or the other.
Oh wait,
cartoons
okay.
that are pushed.
I especially love this track title, "Mouth to Mouth Nocturne."
And that's the second part of what I was saying. If you want to know what was really being presented back then, look at the songs.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man.
So how about you, AJ? So
Sorry.
any things in particular that you want to talk about for the movie?
I think I may have gotten them all.
Okay.
Whether like I said something or you guys brought it up. I mean my beef overall with Batman and how he handles some things. We talked about Chase's thirstiness and how glorious it was. Actually, look, that's kind of a fight I might like to see. Like if Ivy was in this movie,
Yes.
or if Chase was in the next movie, how would that work out? Because he's not going to end up with either one of those chicks. You know, he has a very core around all of the iterations destiny.
That's the thing. Like, there was never the same love interest across any two
because
of these films.
It was only ever meant to be one. We just didn't see her there in the background all the time because it was her dad we were focusing on.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. If you don't know what I'm talking about, for folks listening later or maybe listening now, I won't spoil you. Go. It's actually a pretty cool tie-in storyline. So go check that out. I think that's it. Yeah. We talked about the costumes and the flowing hair. Our favorite crossover characters throughout the multiverse.
I know there was one thing I wanted to mention when we were talking about Two-Face. I forgot to mention it because I actually love the design, and the way they did Two-Face for this. But I will say, like, my favorite version of Two-Face remains from the animated series, which I just thought was beautifully done. I like the design of the character. I like the tragedy of the character, and that's the thing. I will say, like, the animated series did tragedy better than the other version.
Well.
Between like Two-Face's story, Clayface, which I'm so glad to hear they're actually taking inspiration from the animated series for the Clayface movie they're doing. So, so I'm very happy about that. It's gonna look gruesome in live action, but yeah, I'm looking forward to being freaked out.
Mr. Freeze, like, the animated series literally invented the now canonical Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was the Mach 1 for me.
Yeah.
Here's a quite. I don't know. Do you guys do ratings at the end
for the movie? Not usually.
Yeah.
Not usually, because we just that's always been the thing about our channel. We just focus on, we talk about stuff we like / love.
Things are what they are.
And we don't really do the rating thing because for me, it's like, I like to talk about the stuff that I really like, and that's at the end of the day, that's about all that matters to me. And plus, I always have a hard time figuring out exactly what I should rate stuff anyway, just because, like, then I'm like, well, if I enjoyed something so much that I'll watch it again and again, but it's not exactly like award-winning material, do I deduct a half a star for that reason, or do I just give it a full 4 stars because I love it? And so that's, for me, that's always been a weird thing.
Okay.
But
I can dig
it. Yeah. But I've been watching this movie for 30 years, so I can say that I have a lot of fondness for it. So.
I hope that you can continue to watch it for another 30 years plus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely one of my faves from my childhood. And yeah, it is forever on a playlist. And I will definitely be checking it out. And, now that spooky season is creeping up upon us, I will be delving into more fun things from my childhood.
Nice. Yeah. Um, yeah. And yeah, so that's a great thing to have on that we'll save for speaking of spooky stuff. We talked about like doing Ghostbusters for Halloween, so we'll pencil that in. But we're also going to be, that reminds me that come November, Jared and I will be going into our month of Pride and Prejudice, celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Keira Knightley classic. We'll also be talking about the 1995
Nice.
Miniseries, which is rightfully beloved by so many, but we will use that as a sort of ramp into our love fest of the Keira Knightley version, which was actually the first stream that Jared and I ever did together.
Nice.
We did that. And we
awesome.
went beat by beat through that movie and managed to keep it to somewhere between 2.5 to 3 hours. And I'll never understand. Like, that's good for us. That's really
well
good.
Done. Yeah, well done. I commend you.
I do not. I do not predict a repeat of that. I think that this time will go on for a lot longer than that. but yeah, looking forward to that. And but yeah, so yeah, if that's it, we're done. I'll go ahead, Jim.
The only not to end this on a tangent, but I think AK had said that you wanted to do like a Poison Ivy fan cast of some kind.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes, I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Oh, who would you guys cast as Poison Ivy?
I mean, there are. I came up with 3 names, and it kind of depends on what version of the movie we're looking at. Because if we're thinking about a movie that takes place in the James Gunn era of the the James Gunn, current DCU, then I am expecting a character that will have a little bit more of a comedic edge to her, but also, still be able to deal with the drama, and perhaps maybe if she ends up having her relationship with Harley Quinn, could kind of handle that. And the name that came to mind for me on that front was Ella Purnell, who people will know as the voice of Jinx from Arcane. Which I thought, just because I thought that she could capture a lot of that kind of manic energy. She doesn't have the classic, look, but you could.
Oh, she's from Fallout too. Okay.
Yeah. So she could, if you dye her hair, that could work. The name that I was thinking of for if it was more of the Matt Reeves verse was because it would be more grounded and probably a little bit less fantastical, but you need a really strong dramatic actor, which is Jessie Buckley, who is an actress who I really love, who has been in a lot of really kind of gripping, psychological, thrilling movies. Like she was in the Alex Garland movie Men. She had a beautiful performance in this movie Wild Rose a while back. She's in this trailer for this new Shakespearean drama Hamnet that she's getting rave reviews for. Yeah, I think that she's an outstanding actress. And then I was just thinking about somebody who I would like to see just in a hypothetical Poison Ivy movie, somebody who can be dangerous but alluring, frightening, but also kind of intoxicating. And the name that I thought of for that was Rebecca Ferguson, just because she has played those roles to perfection, both in Dune
girl from Eagle Eye.
And
and from Dune.
And for me, the name that I really think of is her performance in the 2019 movie Dr. Sleep, where she plays an absolutely terrifying character, but it still manages to be being like alluring, and and mysterious. So those are just I mean, there are a lot of other names that I could throw out. You know, Karen Gillan, we had mentioned earlier, would be great. I was just trying not to think of actresses purely that on the basis of having red hair, because you know you can dye your hair.
You can dye your hair.
Yeah, but those are my three.
Shit. I'm now I'm it seems like there should be so many people popping into my head that would be good, but now I just
Do you need some more? Do you need a couple more minutes? I think I got my names.
Yeah, but then you might take away some people that I might say. Oh shit, go ahead and do yours.
All right. So I think depending on what age they want to give the character, like let's see, Catwoman in the Batman was Zoe Kravitz. So for someone around that age group on that level, I would say kind of a double-edged sword, because I really want to see her as Rogue also, which is like very well known if you're a fan of this person. Her favorite X-Men is Kiki Palmer.
Oh, yeah, that would be fun.
And I think she would make a fantastic Rogue, but I think she would also make a really good Poison Ivy. And if they wanted to go for someone that was maybe just a little bit older, but could handle any type of physicality if fights like hand-to-hand combat or anything broken, I would posit our favorite Sue Storm, Jessica Alba, I think could pull it off. And if they want to go for a bit of a younger version, because we don't know exactly where they're putting everyone's spectrum in this universe that is being built, I would say Sophie Turner could actually knock it out pretty well. And I know a lot of folks still give her a lot of shit for Sansa. Learn to separate the actor from the character. Did I like what she did with Dark Phoenix too much? No, but that wasn't her fault. That was writing and a horrible story that they gave her. But for this, for Poison Ivy, I think she could absolutely handle that very well. So any of those three ladies, I think would be great. And I really like also Rebecca Ferguson for that too, because yeah, like every role that I've seen her in, I think my earliest memory of her is Eagle Eye, and I really liked her in that movie. I think Eagle Eye is a very underrated movie, and yeah, she was great in Dune. Also, yeah, like everything I've seen her in, I've really liked that character. So, or like how she played the character. So yeah, those are my picks. All right, so back to you, Gwen. You've had like an extra couple minutes.
I will just say you'd have no complaints whatsoever for me for Sophie Turner. And that's for both the actress and the character of Sansa. I absolutely adore Sansa.
Okay. I understand.
I will also, it's like the temptation is to try not to just go for like redheads, but but like they do tend to pop up in my head, and maybe this probably would have worked better back in time. But you mentioned Jessica Alba, so we can like go for different points in time. I would have loved to see Christina Hendricks do Poison Ivy. And let's see, who else was I thinking about here? I think like another, again with the redhead thing. It's so simplistic, but like Kate Mara is another actress who I think can
solid skill.
And then let me think who that you guys haven't mentioned.
I just thought of an honorable mention.
Oh shit. Somebody just popped into my head, and then I lost it. Oh God, who was I thinking of? Fuck.
Happens to me all the time. I'll posit my honorable mention that I just thought about.
Yeah, go ahead.
And depending on age, Sadie Sink from Stranger
Yeah.
Things.
Oh wait, I don't remember her name, but I know who I'm thinking of. That's not helping.
I was trying to give you more time.
Okay. Just because just because she was in my head recently, I was thinking maybe not typically looking like Poison Ivy, but someone who I think is really good, who I'd like to see pull off that kind of role is Sophie Thatcher, who I think is really good. Do you know who she is?
I recognize the name.
She was in a movie from earlier this year called Companion. And then she was also in the Book of Boba Fett as well.
I haven't watched that. Says she was in Yellow Jackets. I did watch Yellow Jackets. And she was in Maxine. Yeah. I think I've seen that. Interesting. Yeah, she looks like she could pull it off.
But yeah, aside from that, I mean, you guys had already taken care of, Karen Gillan. She's obviously one of the ones that I would, think of. And yeah, it's so hard when you're actually put on the spot to try. Things. Once we're off the air, I'll come up with a dozen actresses. but yeah, I'm sure whoever they pick, I'm sure it'll be good. It feels like it has been a while since, at least in the movies, since we had a Poison Ivy, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think the next one is Batman Robin. I think that's the that's the last live action we saw.
Yeah,
if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, no, and I think it's because she is considered to be one of Batman's more fantastical villains, and they're like the Nolan trilogy and some of the other movies probably didn't think that they could adapt her powers in the more realistic way. But I think that if James Gunn seems to be a little bit more inclined to like go out on those wider, more comic booky limbs. So I have a feeling it's only a matter of time before she eventually shows up in the DCEU.
I agree. Yeah.
On
the strength of go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll just say that if her and Harley are not a couple, I'm throwing stuff.
Facts. Yeah.
Yeah.
We will riot.
Yeah.
For sure. So I think with how we've seen things go in Peacemaker, Creature Commandos, what's the other one? Is there another one he had just recently worked on? I don't remember, but the way things have gone, like it's somewhat wonky in those series. I think he absolutely is looking to bring in the fantastical characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially Zatanna. Like but besides like Constantine, I don't think there's a more fantastical character besides her. Yeah. It'll be fun to see what he does, I think. So, but yeah. Thank you for having me on again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I will keep the tangents down next time.
No, I want to say, like, I have so much fun when you come on, AK, and the tangents are part of that. So
And it is always my pleasure, and always a ton of fun to be here with you and Jeremy as well.
plus secretly, I'll be completely honest. I love tangents. I just don't love being responsible for them. So
Well, rest assured, when you come over to my house, that won't be an issue. It's literally incorporated into our schedule.
Yeah, what was it? I think back when AR and I were flirting with the idea of having like this be predominantly a podcast instead of a YouTube stream. I was trying to do more of a podcast format, like where we were going to come on and for like the first 20 minutes, we were just going to sort of chat and catch up with each other and stuff. And then like somebody came on the comments on the YouTube channel and was like, you guys need to get on topic a lot quicker. And I'm like,
I mean,
well, I guess that's
low key rude, but message heard. You know, yeah, we got to take constructive criticism.
Now I just don't care anymore. But that's where I feel like that's where a lot of the fun happens, because sometimes like there was a time on the channel where I could get a bit too strict in the format, and I just like to let things go where they will. And sometimes when we go off the rails and like are completely off topic, that can be the funnest stuff. So maybe it's not what the audience wants to see. I don't know, but we're such a small channel. Like we just have our friends watching, so I'm like, nobody cares. So I'm perfectly happy just to do whatever. So yeah, bring on the tangents.
Yeah, I am always happy to hang whenever you guys need some thoughts about anything. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah. If anyone's kicking about tomorrow, I think me and Meeks will probably be on talking about Peacemaker episode 3, and then Wednesday we're gonna do Alien Earth. I think also that's going to be episode 3 for that discussion as well. And yeah, that's me for next week. I will be on DJ11's channel on Tuesday for some more Peacemaker talk. And again, if you're not watching Peacemaker, I feel like you need to go ahead and correct that injustice in your life. Everyone loves a good laugh, and you deserve those laughs. And Peacemaker got them laughs for you. Go check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and on this channel next week we'll be talking about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and sounds like you're going to join us for that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Okay. And I'm also going to try and persuade AR to join us if they're not too busy. So that should be a lot of fun. And yeah. And then further down the line, we've got more Alien Earth coverage, some Superman coverage, and yeah, and then we'll figure out what's happening after that. But yeah, what about you, Jared? Any final comments?
No, just this was a lot of fun to get, again, kind of a looser discussion about a movie that, as we said, deserves to be, reevaluated and reappraised, because it is still ultimately there's a lot of good stuff here, and I hope it was made clear that we have a lot of affection for it, and going forward, we will continue to talk about movies and shows that we love, because that is the kind of the positive vibes that we want to put out in the world.
Yeah, I will just finish by saying that when my dad asked me today, what movie you talking about on the channel today? I said Batman. He said the first one. I was like, no, the one with Jim Carrey. And he went, nice.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like that's the thing. Like my dad and I don't often align on movies, but I feel like when it comes to the sort of more fun, goofy like movies, like we are on exactly the same wavelength, and so I always
That's
love
cool.
it when when I hear something like that from him. But yeah, so thank you everyone who tuned in tonight. Especially critic Chris, Outlaw Pistolero. Thank you guys for chatting with us, and everybody else who stopped in throughout. I think we did have some. I think Danny popped in.
Danny McKay was in for a bit. Cloaked One jumped in.
Yeah, thank you guys. And we will see you next week for some Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which I'm excited about because I really do love that movie. And so
shout out also to Jared. He popped in for a little bit as well.
Yep. And so I hope you all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next week. And I'm just going to do it. I'm going to finish off by letting Nicole Kidman say goodbye. Have a great night.
Stay thirsty, my friends. Stay thirsty.